I'm just gonna get the other laptop going.
I love ASMR. I love all like the interesting like tapping on the can bit. The fireplace in the background is a nice touch, though.
I like this direction we're going.
Yeah, more zen, more
zen.
chilled out.
Yeah, totally.
It's a come here, come and unwind with us.
Exactly.
Are we gonna talk shit and maybe have a couple of yucks, couple of laughs? Yeah, for sure. But I want people to chill.
Yeah, I want people to chill too.
I want more chill.
This might be our vibe. This might be our direction.
I have a friend. I guess people are really into relaxing videos. There's a guy who has 40 million followers on YouTube.
Wow. That's a lot.
He takes care of cows' hooves. That's his thing.
that's
my friend who did it, she's like an office manager, and I guess it's really popular. It totally relaxes him to watch this guy. It helps that he's a handsome guy, I guess, but he just...
Is this a popular form of ASMR? Like,
what does he do?
He's
it's pretty...
What's he doing again, Fax? Say that again?
He does stuff to cows' hooves to like
oh,
you know.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've watched some of those rehooving cows, or like sometimes something happens and they get a little pebble and stuck between their foot meat and their hoof, and then they're in pain, and then so you get the little pebbles out and then you rehoof them and. Yeah, I've seen those. I could see that it's a big draw, I feel like, for animal lovers, right?
Right.
You're still it's in the vein of people that like the ASMR that involves pimple popping.
Oh God.
And like, you know, because I think I think what it does is it satisfies like the monkey part of your brain, right? It's like a social grooming thing. So, you know, there's a foreign body and you're trying to get it out, right? You're trying to get out an infection or something like that. So I think somehow it taps into our primal brain, and our primal brain goes, yes, that's good. Get that out of there, you know. And so, but I think the cow hoofs is along the same lines, right? Where you're like, oh, there's an infection, there's a pebble, and then you re-hoof the cow, and you're like, that cow foot. I've never been a cow. I've never had cow feet. But I could watch that video and I understand the concept, right? Where I'm like, yeah, that cow feels better now. And so you, by proxy, get to feel better because you know that another creature has relief. And
is at peace.
You're identifying with the cow.
Yeah, you're identifying with the cow. You're like, man, if I was a cow, I definitely want that pebble not to be in my hoof. Thank you, Mr. Man that gets out the pebbles in my hoof. I think... I don't know. That's my theory anyways when it comes to... There's all sorts of ASMR that really does a lot for people. Yeah. I enjoy ASMR. I like the space... I'm the one who turned you on to the spaceship.
You are the one that turned me on to the spaceship.
I was like, hey, check this out.
Is that considered brown noise or white noise, the spaceship?
White noise?
Because I've seen some people call it brown noise.
I'm not quite sure what the difference would be. Is it brown noise is created by equipment and white noise is natural? Like the ocean waves, rain is white noise, and brown noise is like humming of electrical stuff.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. That's a theory, you know, because like when you have like blackouts and brownouts, it's power electricity related.
Good theory.
That's my
Fax. What do you think?
I don't know. To sleep to, I know I like so-called white noise.
Okay.
I don't know why it's called brown noise all of a sudden. But
I might just be making that up.
Well, it's a new subgenre within the noise community.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe. Wow, thanks for the grapes.
So we're probably live on TikTok now and Instagram and all that stuff.
And I'm live on Super Live as well, which is a new...
We're trying out a new platform.
Streaming service. I don't quite understand how it works, but I know that somebody just sent me grapes and a gold perfume. These are prizes that people can send you. And then these prizes eventually translate into cold, hard cash. Which is very interesting to me. I'm not quite sure how it works, but it's working.
So right now we are live on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram,
Facebook,
I don't think Facebook.
I think that's one of the only ones we're not live on.
And then the weird one you're on. So that's 5. We're live on 5 platforms.
Yeah, the weird one I'm on.
Yeah. So, anyways, if anyone is watching on one of those platforms, we'd like to introduce our guest today, Thax Douglas, known to some as Thaxter Douglas, known to most as Thax, just Thax, kind of like Madonna or Cher.
Oh, I like that idea.
Iconic.
Welcome to the show, Thax.
Welcome. Great to have you on.
Thank you.
So, Thax and I met in 2010, I think, right at the beginning, if not the end of 2009, at a Givers show. Remember the band Givers?
Yes.
Very millennial whoop, wouldn't you say? Like,
Yeah.
that kind of
Whatever
stuff.
happened to them?
I don't know. I remember they played a Fun Fest. Do you remember that festival?
Yeah.
I'm sure you
Was
probably
it fun?
You probably read one of those, right?
Yeah, I did read it. Fun Fest.
Okay, yeah. I remember they got a really good slot, like after Deerhoof, and I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense. And it's probably because they just had a really fucking good booking agent.
Right.
And,
exactly.
And that to me is like their apex. After that, that coveted 7:00 slot after Deerhoof on one of the big stages, mind you, I never heard of them again.
Yeah, a lot of bands are like that. They're buzz bands for like a few months or a year, and then
Wow.
well, like that band you were in for a day.
Here
Fever
today,
the
gone
Ghost
tomorrow.
was like that.
Yeah, I mean,
They were really big for a while, right?
yeah, Fever
they
the
were
Ghost
buzzy.
had a few year run, I think, from 2009.
They have a very
To 2013.
intense fan base, though. They're very dedicated, seems.
Yeah, there's a very dedicated fan base on Discord, where it's just a bunch of kids who talk shit to each other. It's kind of weird.
Little cultish. A little cultish.
Yeah, but yeah. So Thax and I met at a Givers show, and I feel like Zorch had only played live like 8 times ever, and so we asked Thax if he could introduce us at our next show, which was at Mohawk, and sure enough, he did. And I want to say we were playing with. Oh, I can visualize the album cover. La Loupe? Did I say it right? Do you know what I'm talking about?
La Lupe?
No, there wasn't a pay. It was something like that. La Loupe, or they were like
Wasn't a little
they were like a trendy Pitchfork band for 2 seconds. Like literally flash in the pan.
Wouldn't remember. No.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it was just us and them, and Thax read, and
Iconic. Thax has read for some pretty big people.
And I think my mom was at that show even.
I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like my mom was at that show. But yeah, Thax is definitely iconic, and you've read for so many people. I remember when I did my little shitty DIY tour in the UK, I got to see Thax do basically do your Thaxy thing for a few minutes before Pete Doherty.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, like, I like Thax. I like Thax's performance so much more than Pete's set. Like, Pete's set was fine, but honestly, you had the audience in the palm of your hand, right? Like, people were vibing out so hard. You could have had like if you wanted to, you could have gone on for like 15, 20 minutes if you want. Like, people were really into it.
I don't know. I only did one poem, but I have to admit, there were several poets.
Yeah.
And the audience was one of the wildest audiences ever.
Yeah.
That was the only show where people were doing football chants during the show.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds very fun and rowdy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, people were rowdy for Thax.
I was happy, yeah, because they actually booed the other poets, and
Oh,
I did
nice.
my thing expecting, not caring, expecting the worst, but then they cheered when I did my Pete Doherty poem.
I
So,
think
yeah.
I think it's because, I mean, first of all, you're so charming and funny that I think you just immediately won people over because you were just so, your vibe is like easy. It's like it's welcoming. You want to hang out with Thax for a few minutes, and I think people picked up on that immediately. And I remember thinking like, oh man, Thax could literally like keep going for like no one would stop. You know what I mean? Like no one would stop you.
No, that's
They want
not
more.
true. Actually,
That's not true. Oh, okay.
They would
I've
have.
I've experimented. I read. You remember the Von Bondies?
Yes, I do. That was another
Uh,
trendy indie post the Strokes kind of band, right?
Right. Yeah, they were of that time, and unfortunately, their big claim to fame was Jack White
Right.
sending the guy to the hospital,
Because
beating him
he
up.
beat him up.
Oh wow.
And I was hoping,
Spicy.
I was hoping it was a publicity stunt, but it wasn't.
No, I just really got his ass beat.
It was just a very traumatic experience. But anyway, Jason said to me once, "I want you to read for 15 minutes."
Wow.
And I never tried that, but it didn't work. The one poem works, but it's because it's part of the band's show.
Yeah, I think
That's why it works.
I think the reason why it didn't work that one time is because it was too pre-planned. Like the best Thax sets feel punk rock. They feel improvisatory. Like everything's happening now and it's fun and let's just go with it. So if anything is planned beforehand, already like
It's already contrived.
Yeah, exactly. The punk
Yeah,
magic.
exactly.
I think that's what it
Exactly.
is. But I mean, you've read for so many people. Like didn't you read for Radiohead a bunch of years ago?
No,
Or you almost did. You were so close.
that's actually a funny story.
Yeah, please.
So I will
remind
tell
me.
it since I did. Well, and I finally resolved it last year. I wrote this Radiohead poem in 2008. After seeing a great show in Grant Park in Chicago.
Right.
But my problem with Radiohead is it's very narrow. I think OK Computer, Kid A, and Amnesiac are all great, and everything else sucks.
After that?
So they've sucked ever since Amnesia. Like Hail to the Thief and all that stuff.
I actually like that album. But it grew it grew on me though. I didn't like it at the time.
Well, it's just me. So I was ambivalent about them. So they were doing shows at the Roundhouse in London, and I thought, well, I'm going to give it a try, and I'm pretty good at getting into shows.
Right.
But I deliberately shot myself in the foot. I just walked in and said, I'm going to read a poem.
Uh-huh.
The security guy.
Uh-huh.
And he was very hectic. And he said, well, you're reading for the opening band, right? And normally I would just say yes, just let me get in and then see what happens.
Right.
But for some reason I said, no, I'm reading for Radiohead. And angrily, and their manager was right there and said, what? I don't know about this. I made the fundamental mistake. Everyone knows you get into shows by pretending you belong there.
Right.
You don't do anything
unusual.
That makes it seem like, yeah. So, and then they got really mad and chased me out.
Oh, damn.
And I did something, I'll tell you this story because it's very embarrassing.
I love embarrassing stories.
I've never done before or since.
Okay, great.
I went outside, just outside the venue where the bands come in and stuff like that.
Right.
And just stood there for the entire show.
Yeah. Okay.
And people would come up to me and say things like, what do you... And They also said in England, when they say, "Can I help you?" they say, "Are you okay?"
Ah.
Which really got to me. So people kept coming up to me saying, "Are you okay?"
Uh-huh.
And they were saying, "Can I help you with something?" But I took it meaning saying, "Are you okay?"
Right.
You're like, what? Is something wrong with me?
I did say that. I said, "Yeah, I'm fine, thank you." And I stayed not only till the end of the show,
Yeah.
but until like 2 in the morning.
Uh-huh.
And I watched people leaving from the show that were working at the venue. There were two or three like hardcore fans that were waiting there, and I joined them. One was the stereotypical Japanese girl who talked very quietly and had a little tiny gift that she wanted to give Radiohead. She
Okay.
was waiting for them to come out.
Uh-huh.
And then I've never done this. I think I did it because I wanted to feel how it felt to be that kind of fan and
Okay.
do that. So, and then finally, about 2 in the morning, someone came out and said they left a long time ago
Oh.
and went out. And I don't know why I did that. And I said, why did that turn out that way?
Right.
Well, why did I shoot myself in the foot? And I realized that I really didn't want to read for Radiohead.
You're like, now that I know their vibe.
The spirit of the poetry was offended that I would do a poem for them and said no.
Mm-hmm.
And so I
see
had
that.
the poem. Yeah. And just this year, I gave it to a band in Madison. I didn't tell them because they're a little sensitive.
Would it be okay to name the band? I mean, they're probably never going to
Well, I
watch
will
this.
now, because they'll find out eventually. They're called Daughters of St. Crispin.
Oh, okay.
They're a very good 90s style band.
Right.
Nice.
They're people like my age that have been doing it for years.
Right. Right.
But, and it fits Daughters of St. Crispin, so I thought, fine. I finally realized this is not a Radiohead poem. It took me 14 years to figure it out.
I love that. That's a great story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thanks.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Oh, thank you.
I guess let's counterbalance an embarrassing story with a positive story. What's an artist or a band that you've read for where you're like, wow, that was really satisfying. Like that. That really worked.
It happens a lot. On that same European trip, I spent 4 days in Berlin, and by great good luck, Stereo Total was playing in 2 of those days. You know, what is that?
I'm about to eat a gummy. THC
Oh,
gummy.
okay. That looked so like health food. Is that a gummy made out of marijuana and tea or something? What is that?
It might as well be. I mean, there's sugar on it, right?
There's a little bit of sugar, but they're actually fairly low sugar.
It looks like a Necco.
They're very delicious.
Oh, okay.
They're like they're
Wonderful.
very tasty. I think it's almost a little bit dangerous because they're just delightful.
So tasty.
As a candy.
Yeah.
That you kind of want to
wonderful.
munch on them, but I found out the hard way last night that 3 is three too many.
Way too many.
I didn't
Ooh.
realize it was. I thought I spaced it out throughout the day. I figured I was fine, but it was like a.
I took 4 within a 6-hour period, and I was too stoned.
Yeah, way too much.
Like,
Oh, wait, they're medical or stony or something?
They're 10 milligrams each, which doesn't seem like a big deal.
I don't think that's medical level.
No, the medical ones are even more intense.
Yeah.
They'll just knock you right out.
Oh, okay.
But it does seem to build in the system, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're like, ooh.
When I get too high on
Right.
edibles, I start to feel like I'm going to go blind, and it's really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's just really hard for me to keep my eyes open. I just want to gorge my little belly with all of the snacks and delicious things, and then
But what happens with me is when I close my eyes, because I'm so dozy, I start to fear that I will never be able to see again. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like I have to keep my eyes open to not lose my vision.
you're like, if I close them, it may well be the very last time I see anything
Yeah,
again.
it's a very strange paranoia, which is why I've stuck to smoking. and stayed off the edibles, but now I have this terrible cough, so I have to do
Smoking.
edibles.
Smoking isn't very good for me either. I have
Yeah.
to cut back on smoking as well.
We're trying not to smoke, Thax. Usually we smoke on the show, but
I just took a little toke, but I can
yeah.
only do little bits.
yeah.
Well, it looks really cool. I know it's bad for you, but it looks really cool.
It does, right?
You can just have a fake cigarette. Just put it in your mouth. You don't have to smoke it.
That's true. It does make me look pretty cool.
I mean, I think
I definitely feel cooler when I smoke.
I think that people say that smoking doesn't look cool. I'm like,
They're wrong.
They're just
They're wrong. They're very
I'm just
wrong.
like, have you seen it? It's kind
Have
of
you
just.
seen us?
It's kind of like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. They are
Yeah.
good. People like. There's a reason why people like that combo.
Yeah.
But I don't miss. This is before your time. I don't miss coming home from shows with my clothes stinking of smoke.
Oh, I don't miss that
Oh,
either.
you know,
Hate that.
I definitely am younger, so a lot of smoking wasn't allowed in clubs, but I've been in a lot of DIY spaces.
Yeah, but that's because you were in Oregon.
Yeah.
We were in like Texas and Oklahoma and fucking
So there's just
Oh,
smoking.
okay.
inside.
Louisiana, like
yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, so I went a lot of DIY spaces, but still, yeah, very rarely were people allowed. There was bars. I remember there was this punk bar that I used to be able to get into when I was underage,
right.
and I just hang out in the very back, and people would smoke in there, and it was pretty disgusting. So I've had a couple experiences of like going out and seeing shows or being in a bar, and then you just come home and you're like, it's in my hair, it's in
Was
my
this
clothes.
Portland?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you go to one of those casual corner strip joints?
Oh yeah, I've worked at those casual corner
Oh,
strip
really?
joints.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of them where it just kind of like feels like a little dive bar, and then you're like, oh my goodness, there's a naked woman over there.
It's amazing. That was amazing to me
But I
to
feel
see
like
that.
that should be more commonplace because I'd be so much more willing to go to a place like that over a strip club.
I think that's the draw.
Yeah,
Right?
it's like there are people of our demographic who like
That's way more like entertaining, and it's less high pressure.
yeah, not everything has to be the Bon Jovi aesthetic. Sometimes you just want like Modest Mouse. or
Yeah,
whatever.
no, I mean, I think the big thing that I think is really cool about Portland strip clubs, I have a lot of things that I don't like about Portland strip clubs, but one of the things that I do enjoy is the fact that a lot of places you can DJ your own music, like your own set, your own stage set. You can pick out the music you're dancing to, and so I think that brings a cool vibe where every dancer then has their own vibe when they get on stage, right? And it's Portland, so people appreciate having like niche music tastes, right?
Hey, we
So-
got a first time chatter from the ASMR
Oh, nice.
situation. I'm not gonna read everything they say because there's the R word, but
Uh-huh.
Texas sucks, man. Corner strip
Yeah.
joints, hell yeah. 2-for-1 titty Tuesdays, good shit, but it's R word as well, overpriced.
I'm like, well, here's the thing, baby. Pussy's a luxury. There's no such thing as overpriced. It's a skill.
It is. It's a commodity that's sold and traded on a supply and demand marketplace.
Yeah.
It's
It wasn't overpriced where I went to.
Where'd you go to?
That was, I went, the one time I ever read in Portland was for a band called the Twilight Sad.
Oh, I
And
remember that. I saw the Twilight Sad open for The Cure in Berlin.
Nice.
Oh, you went to that?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
kind of crazy side story, but my mom and I are friends with, or like not friends, but we know the guy who runs Universal Music Canada, and he got us tickets, like
Oh, great.
really good tickets, and then afterwards we got to meet the band. So
Very cool.
we went backstage. I hung out with Robert Smith. I
Oh, great.
hung out with the keyboard player, who's been the keyboardist for like 20 years, 25 years. I got to see a hanger on, like
a hanger oner?
yeah, like a weird, just
Crazed fan?
Yeah, exactly. My mom was hanging out with like the head of Universal Music Europe or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool.
Oh, wow.
That was like a really fun night.
It sounds like a fun time.
That was for my 30th. That trip was for my 30th birthday. So that really.
Oh, wow.
That was like
okay.
a special 30th birthday kind of vibe.
Nice.
But anyways, let's go back to Thax. So yeah, tell us some more positive Thax experiences.
Well, when I was in Berlin, Stereo Total is one of my favorite bands, but their hometown's Berlin. So to see them in their hometown,
Yeah.
and especially since Francoise Cactus died a couple of years ago, uh, the read for them in their hometown and the vibe was so different.
Right.
Have you ever seen Stereo Total?
I've never even heard of them. I'm gonna add them right now.
They're a German band that sings in German, French, and English.
Are they Swiss German or something?
No,
okay.
they're cosmopolitan.
Okay.
They do a lot of it's almost what you could call lounge pop or something like that.
How do you spell it?
Stereo Total.
Okay, got it.
And so it's almost has like a smart chamber pop feel to it, but their audiences in America, people go there because they're so witty and European and sophisticated.
I was gonna say this reminds me of Klaus Johann Grobe.
A little bit, yeah.
In terms of like their lyrical content is very snide and smart, but you wouldn't know it because you don't speak Swiss German or whatever.
Well, it's a little bit like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And
like ironic and
it's too good natured to be ironic, but it's definitely like, it's almost for the same sort of people that are really into the 60s and 70s and into like Francoise Hardy and stuff like that.
So our first time chatter is asking us if we're musicians. I'm a musician, Thax is a poet, and I would say Jesse is like an entertainer comedian as our primary artistic expressions. Would you all say that's accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that sounds good to me.
We also have another first-time chatter who's sending us nacho chips and just like really cool emojis. I'm really digging it.
Yeah, thank you.
So
Howdy ho.
Howdy ho 078. Thank you.
Thank you. We love those emojis.
Okay, yeah, more Thax stories, more positive, or if you want to tell like the worst experience, those are fun too.
Schadenfreude here.
It just the positive thing about Stereo Total was just in Berlin, their audiences were totally different. They were a party band,
right?
So where like in America, there'd be like 50 people like just standing there, really liking it, but being quiet. In Berlin, people were moshing and were really loud.
I like people that get into
music, but just reading for a band in their hometown is really special to me.
Right.
So,
Are you a fan? Do you know Oval? OVAL?
Yeah, I never liked them. Or maybe it's OVAL that I don't like.
I think there's an artist.
They were sort of like Galaxy 500 or something like that.
Oh, that's different.
OVAL.
Yeah, that's more like sleek, minimalist German techno, but like experimental.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like post Aphex Twin-ish. But he has a record that it was really popular in the 90s called Discount. Something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? 94 Discount.
Some of that. On New Year's Eve, the show I went to for New Year's had a great DJ who played
some of that stuff.
A lot of 80s and 90s stuff like that,
and
a lot of it was in German language. So
there you go.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So Thax, you've read for Wilco. You've read for Flaming Lips. I'm just rattling off the top of my head. Were those experiences positive?
Yeah, the Flaming Lips ones were definitely.
Yeah.
It was nice because I haven't read for him in a while. The last one was at Fun was at Austin City Limits.
Okay.
And I wasn't planning on it, but the Gangs show got shut down. Do you remember that? Do you remember Gangs?
Yes.
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 It and they had to cancel the show because for some reason
I remember this. I
the
actually
bus
remember this.
companies took the bus back.
Oh my god!
All
I
their stuff
remember.
was a big deal.
I remember this, Thax. Okay, so just to clue you in on this, Buttons.
Yeah.
So Gangs, Gayng's, was a supergroup of Justin Vernon, aka Bon Iver, Ryan Olson, who you don't know, but he's been in like a million important bands from Minneapolis.
Okay.
Notably Policia. And then there was one or two other people in the band that were kind of a big deal. Whatever. The point is that every single song was in 69 BPM.
Right. That's
Every
right.
single song. Like slow jams. Like, that was their genre. Just like, like late 80s slow jam, throwback kind of shit.
Yeah, I get it.
So they are on their way to perform at ACL. And it's possible that Bon Iver was like a headliner or something. Like maybe he was like doing a double bill or whatever. But didn't they get dropped off? Like they probably stayed at a hotel in a city. And then when they woke up, the bus was gone because the bus driver drove off with it with all the equipment.
It was really ridiculous, and the guy, I remember because the guy said they really mistreated the bus. Look at this, and it was really normal stuff like a few clothes laying around, nothing crazy.
Right.
And I think they sued and they got some money for it.
Pretty crazy though.
But and speaking of auto-tune, when I read for him the night before at Emo's,
Yeah.
when I read my poems for him, they put me on auto-tune.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh,
So
wow.
maybe
Interesting.
they had their equipment, right? They performed at Emo's. They stayed at a hotel. That must have been when the bus driver took off with the equipment.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Right?
the bus, yeah.
What a dick.
Wow.
Really?
So Thax, I don't remember if I told you this, but I stayed at Ryan Olson's place in Minneapolis like 10 years ago.
Yeah. How
Um,
was it?
he's probably like a responsible father now, but back in the day, this is before he had child, he was a freaking party animal. Like always having parties at his really, he always hung out with really cool, interesting people, but like, they're all really into drugs. That's all.
That's the other thing.
They just I remember
They're very cool, but artistic, but they also maybe have a little bit of a cocaine problem.
you're gonna love this, Buttons. Ryan told me once, he's like, I just love fucking like fishing and doing blow, like going on a boat, getting my fishing rod out, and just doing a bunch of cocaine and going fishing.
Wow.
You know what? I get it.
You do?
Yeah, because it's like you're numbing yourself out, so you're numb, and then you're just like,
That's not how cocaine works. You're not numbed out.
I thought it's like a numbing agent.
I don't feel like it's numbing.
Isn't the whole thing with cocaine that it numbs out your face?
I mean that happens, but that's not the drive behind
Yeah, that's
it.
a side effect. Or
Yeah, that's
something.
like that's just like a side effect, baby. I'm like, no. I think people like it because it makes you feel euphoric and it gives you lots of energy.
Yeah.
You feel sexy. You feel hot. You feel important and cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it depends on your personality. Drugs don't
It's
work
a disco
the same.
drug, baby.
All right. Well, anyway.
When I got the autism diagnosis, I was told we don't do drugs.
Autistic people don't do drugs?
Yeah, and that explains a lot because I never liked drinking or doing drugs. So.
Interesting. I've never heard that before, but it makes sense. I get it.
It could be that maybe because being autistic, you are a little numb in some ways. So maybe it's so people take drugs so they can get to that space. I don't know.
I remember you once describing to me the feeling of at least what autism feels like in your brain. You said it's like gears grinding up against each other.
Yeah, a little bit.
And I feel like that's how I feel with my neurodivergence, my ADD mixed with whatever else is going on up there. But I definitely relate to that experience.
Yeah, insult they used to use called on the spectrum. I think the spectrum was pretty wide.
Yes.
Basically, everyone's on the spectrum.
Right. Yeah, so that's interesting. Do you think there's one spectrum and ADD and autism are on the same spectrum, or are those two different spectrums coexisting?
It seems it's the brain is so complicated, so it's all about how the brain. Some brains misfire more than others, or in different ways. So,
like, I think my brain misfires in the sense that I've experienced a lot of like executive dysfunction, where I'm just it's really hard for me to access the motivation to like plan things by like every hour to the T, right?
Yeah,
because that takes a lot of it.
That's a lot of CPU. That's a lot of
CPU
brain energy to do that. I also struggle with executive function, especially if I have a lot to do and I'm very overwhelmed by how much there is to do. I'm like, holy fuck, that's a lot. Maybe we do none of it.
Right.
I don't know where to start, so maybe I just don't start, and instead maybe I'll just panic about it for the next 6 hours.
Exactly. Thax, didn't you tell me once that you knew Jeffrey Dahmer? Like just by going to like the gay bars in Chicago?
Yep, that's definitely a real story.
That's pretty unreal.
And it's the that's a real it was just one time.
Oh, okay.
But unfortunately, I think he was thinking of me as a possible victim because we hung out that night.
Right.
And then a bunch of us went out to eat afterwards, and he sat across from me, and we talked for the course of the meal. And I remember thinking how friendly he is and how nice he was. I wonder whatever happened to him.
Wasn't he not into white dudes, or did he not discriminate?
I think I'm pretty sure the only reason a lot of his victims were of color, as they say, is because he was looking for people. I think killers look for people that are easy victims. Like, in my case, a part of me has very low self-esteem, and he might have picked up on that.
I see.
But a part of me also does not, feels good about myself.
Right.
And like anybody who might fight back, like the infamous case with him was the Laotian teenager in Milwaukee, where he actually managed to escape, but he managed to tell the police we just had a lover's quarrel, and he dragged him back.
I love lover's quarrel.
Yeah,
that's a great. Is that a euphemism? Is that what we can call that?
Yeah,
is that what that
is because he
Turn
picked somebody
who
who wasn't good at English, and so when the guy panicked and tried to tell the police to save him, So anyway, but at the time, the funny thing is, just I knew his name because we had a running joke about his name during the night I spent with him. That's how it was spelled. That's how I knew his name was Jeffrey Dahmer.
Wow.
And oh boy.
Who's the scariest band or artist you've read for? Any Marilyn Manson types? Any predators? Any vampires? Any heroin addicts? Anything really? Any angry people? People who are just
Anton Newcomb can be pretty frightening if you take him seriously.
Oh yeah.
I've read for him a bunch. And
you know who that is, Buttons?
No.
That's the lead singer of the Brian Jonestown Massacre.
Oh, okay.
He's I don't want to accuse him of being racist, but he's definitely said the N-word multiple times on the internet. So maybe he's just racist, but
yeah, I think that's pretty.
No,
Or was he just being like provocative?
No, he's just nuts.
He's just nuts.
You can be provocative without being racist or saying things like that.
Oh, of course. I'm not excusing it. I'm just explaining.
No, trying to
what
the reasoning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's inexcusable either way.
True.
But yeah, he seems nuts.
He seems nuts.
Who else?
Like it actually. Well, I don't really hang out too much with bands, but I wouldn't want to hang out with Anton. That's for sure. He's pretty scary.
How was reading for Wilco?
Oh, it was all right.
Yeah.
It was just it was so concentrated.
Right.
Like reading about 36 times in 3 years for either Wilco or Jeff Solo.
Oh, okay.
It was just a little bit too much.
So you became somewhat acquainted with Jeff.
Yeah. He's all right. I still keep up online with what he's doing and stuff like that.
Well,
he has this thing called The Loft in Chicago that I've never been to.
Is that a venue? Or is that a...
No, it's just where he records.
Oh, okay.
And the band records, and the 4 famous people are always dropping by.
Right.
And he has a YouTube channel. And so every now and then I check it out and see what he's up to.
Right,
okay.
Right. I saw that Namdi opened for Wilco on tour.
Yeah.
Namdi, Slater, Kinney, and Wilco, which was like, wow. That's a tight ass tour right there.
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty good at stuff like that. Namdi's good. I just read for him in October.
Oh, great.
Oh, very
Yeah.
cool.
How was that?
Oh, it was great. It was really cool. It's almost Zappa-esque. It's really he doesn't really rap or any. It's not really R&B.
It's not pigeonholing into any specific genre. It almost, what I hear in Namdi's music is a combination of like Midwest Chicago guitar rock, like mathy, like tappy, right? Like the with like some hip hop influences and some R&B influences, and then some like experimental spices thrown on top.
Right.
Just as seasoning, though. It's not like, I feel like the foundation is the Midwest guitar, and then like hip hop R&B, and then.
But I think he has what it takes to like actually have hit records on the radio. I hope that happens someday.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he could be Zappa for the masses. In fact, I hope that's true for him.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't happened yet, but maybe I'm hoping you'll meet the right person, and suddenly you'll see him making record. Well, Dave Longstreth did it, so why not?
Right.
Do you know Dave Longstreth?
From Dirty Projectors?
Dirty Projectors?
Yeah.
Remember he had that weird hit song with Kanye, Paul McCartney, and Beyonce that he wrote? He didn't sing on it, but he wrote the song.
Oh, yeah. I totally forgot that happened. And he also... I mean, Dirty Projectors had a minor hit, that Stillness is the Way.
Yeah, was that a hit?
Yeah, because I think Solange covered it.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, so... Yeah, I don't know. It's funny, but... And then there was a band called Fun that also had a song that sounded like Dirty Projectors.
Right.
And had a big hit.
So, you remember
So anyway, if he can do it, Namdi can do it.
Le Loop.
By the way, Thax, I was right about that band we played with. They were called Le Loop.
I don't remember them.
They just had this one album, but I was wrong about them being Pitchfork trendy. The album got a 6 out of 10. So, I mean, at least they got covered by Pitchfork.
Yeah.
At the time, that was a big deal.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Do you remember we made that song for Ryan Schreiber?
I do, yeah. That was fun doing that.
Yeah. I wonder if he actually watched that video.
I know him.
Yeah.
So we were Facebook friends when we did that song. So
Are you still Facebook friends with Mo Tucker, drummer of Velvet Underground?
actually, I am, because I just checked out all my things.
Isn't Mo Tucker such an adorable raisin of a person? Like raisiny?
A raisin? Yeah, I guess you're right. She is sort of like a California raisin, except a Long Island raisin.
Yeah. Very cute.
Yeah.
Mo Tucker's cool because the way she played was more like percussion-y, right? Because she's not playing kick drum, which became very hipstery in the early 2010s.
Right.
Do you remember when all the hipster bands in Austin were like, "I don't play kick drum," right? That's very Mo Tucker. Like it was all very Velvet Underground, heavily Velvet Underground inspired. Like that band Woven Bones. Do you remember that band from Austin?
Oh, just barely. Yeah.
Barely, right? Like, but they were one of those stand-up drum bands.
I just read.
I was gonna say maybe Harlem was another one of those bands. Remember Harlem?
I do remember Harlem. I never liked them.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
I in September I read for a buzz band called Dead, DEHD.
Oh yeah.
Is a stand-up.
Wait a minute, aren't DEHD? Aren't they the children of Slipknot?
Dead.
Were they new metal?
No, not in the least. They. I've heard them called surf rock for some reason.
Oh.
They sound a little too weird to be surf rock to me, but.
Who am I thinking of? Yeah, you're right, Thax, but who am I thinking of? Slipknot children.
That could.
Oh, sorry, they're called Vended.
Oh, okay.
Vended. That's I got it confused. Yeah. I know. The band you're talking about is very buzzy.
Yeah.
Very buzzy.
I've never heard them. Can we hear their buzz?
Sure. I'll put the buzz on right now. I don't know if you're gonna hear this, Thax, but I'm gonna play a bit of their music.
Oh, okay.
Just for 30 seconds.
Top 10 worst hit songs of 2022. Wow. Would love to go through that.
Need you here the most. But I get too much, my heart ain't strong enough for me.
I see the surfy bit,
Sounds cool.
but yeah, it's not quite surf, but I can see the surf influence, right?
Yeah.
I enjoyed them. I thought they were really good.
Yeah, it sounds cool.
I'm like, the music sounded good. They both were hot. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to talk about negative,
Yeah,
something
go for it.
negative, that's why we really hit it off for some reason, and they did shows the last 3 days of the year at the Empty Bottle,
Right.
and they wanted me to do them, and I just couldn't do them because it was the Empty Bottle.
Oh, you just hate that place?
What?
Do you just hate that place?
I hate it so much that even though it was dead, even though it was one of the hottest bands around, if Jesus Christ came back and went to the Empty Bottle, I don't think I'd go.
You wouldn't go for JC?
Well, it probably would.
Would it be too crowded, maybe? Too much of a line?
I mean, yeah, it's gonna be a party. It's gonna be turning water into wine. So
yeah, there you go.
the fishes, the loaves, it's gonna be a mess.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, the stream.
Just so
sorry, my
yeah,
computer's cutting out.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out.
It's Frontier. I have a Frontier, and it always does that.
Oh, okay.
So it's okay now. Yeah.
Yeah, we're good now. Yeah. Do you have any stories of like hilariously bad shows or like just chaos and disorder?
The muck, the grime.
Yeah, and actually, it's at the Empty Bottle, the worst show I was ever at.
What show was it?
It was Rodelius and Rogerino.
Okay.
Cluster and Rodelius. They were German guys in the 70s.
Oh
They
yeah,
did
Cluster. Yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
as-
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And I was, it promised to be so magical. Oh, there's Monkey. It promised to be so magical, and everyone was sitting on the floor, and Rodelius was playing this quiet music. And after about 15 minutes, some guy was just drunk, like a bro,
Uh-huh.
and started just getting up and go, "Hey, what's going on?" and stuff, and bothering people and stumbling over people.
Oh, wow. I
Wow.
hate that.
And
You're like, bro, read the room.
okay, there it goes again. Okay, there it is. And normally the empty bottle would be thrilled to throw some people out, but they didn't throw this guy out for some reason.
Okay.
And instead, the friend he was with just started arguing with him, saying, "I can't take you anywhere. I want to bring you to some cool music. And this is what you do. You get drunk," and stuff like that. And they started arguing.
Right.
Wow. Wow.
And
wow,
then
wow.
eventually people just started talking.
No.
And then everyone was talking, and you couldn't hear Rodelius. And that set was ruined. And then Roger Eno got really, really drunk. And he was so drunk that even though his set was just pushing buttons on a computer, he couldn't even do that right. And he kept pushing the wrong buttons. So I left after 15 minutes of his set.
Right.
Wow.
That was the worst. Sometimes a chaotic set can be really, really beautiful.
Oh,
Like
totally.
the time I saw Hazel Atkins and he threw his guitar at someone and broke the guy's nose.
Wow, I love that.
Even though that happened, it was still a great show. It wasn't great for the guy, but it was great for me.
Wow.
Well, what was great about that show for you?
It was the chaos. And it's kind of something I miss because you don't see a lot of chaos because it's so establishment. Indie rock is so establishment now.
Right.
There's nothing remotely chaotic about it. In fact, when you look at show announcements, it's so bland. It's always, "Wow, we're really thrilled to have these guys at our venue. Wow, we're super stoked about it."
Well, I agree with you. I can't disagree with that. I'm in.
I mean, I grew up going to a bunch of DIY punk shows. I love chaos.
Yeah.
I want to.
Yeah,
I want to see
exactly.
some fucking. I want to see something wild happen, and I'm like, the chaos, the destruction. Is it dangerous? Sometimes, yeah. Do people get hurt? Sometimes, yeah. And that's not good. I don't want people to get hurt, but I'm there to help when afterwards. But I want that reckless abandon.
Right.
You don't even need that kind of chaos. It just could, like, the show could be chaotic.
Right.
Yeah.
Something like I read for a 90s type band in Madison called The Garza.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy used to be in Pachinko, which was a 90s band. And that show had that kind of chaotic feel about it. You had to have been there.
Right.
It was just the you hardly ever see that nowadays. People just go up and do their songs, and it's very genteel. Yeah.
Right. I think when we reviewed the year in music, like what was beloved and popular in the year of 2022, I found it very genteel. A lot of the indie stuff just sounded exactly the same.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping some social things happen. I think the coming non-white domination of society will bring some exciting musical changes along with it.
Right.
My favorite pop music of all right now, and it's been this way for a while, it's not even R&B or whatever, it's Mexican music.
Uh-huh.
Specifically the ones with the brass band. I don't
Right.
know the name of the genre. I can listen to that for hours.
Huh.
What kind of
Like
genre?
banda?
Is it called benda? It's like it's a brass band, clarinets and tubas and trumpets.
Is it mariachi style?
It's not mariachi. It's very
I think it's
and
banda.
it's nowadays it's very very sophisticated too. Like talking about Zappa, some of these arrangements are pretty far out. And like if you listen to like a Latin like La Ley or something like that, that's mostly what they play.
Right.
And so it's like
Have you heard the new Bad Bunny album?
no Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
Bad Bunny's reggaeton, which is very different than banda.
Okay.
Okay, did he just die?
Bad Bunny?
No.
Oh, okay. The reason I asked was there was a show in Madison coming up that's a tribute to Bad Bunny, and I thought it was somebody. I thought it was a drag queen.
No, they just everybody loves Bad Bunny. So there's a lot of like Bad Bunny themed DJ nights and stuff like that. There's a couple of them in LA. Bad Bunny is a cultural phenomenon.
Really?
And he's beloved, especially in like LA, Southern California, anywhere where you have a large Latino population. You put on Bad Bunny, and I feel like everybody knows every lyric to every song, and it's, it's an experience, right? Everybody loves it. And then he also just recently like put a show on, and he's Puerto Rican, and he like did a show on top of a gas station
In Puerto Rico.
in Puerto Rico.
Oh wow! Wow.
Beatles
and, like,
style.
And I mean, stateside, his tickets are very expensive, and he sells out all the biggest arenas here. So, but he loves to like, he's just beloved everywhere he goes. He's huge. I like Bad Bunny. I'll listen to Bad Bunny. I like some old Bad Bunny. I don't think I listen to it regularly though, or I could sing along to all the songs that are like everybody else does. I'm like, oh,
Right.
damn.
Oh, okay.
Not for
yeah.
me, but
Thax, what cities are you going to most often from where you are right now?
Mostly Madison.
Right.
I didn't go any. I went to Kalamazoo once in October.
How was that?
That was my big trip.
love the name
Uh,
Kalamazoo.
Yeah, it's a lovely city in Southwest Michigan. I'm a big fan of this band called Major Minor, that's from there. So
Okay.
I did a pilgrimage and went to see them perform there.
Do you know what's a really beautiful city is Grand Rapids, Michigan?
Yeah, that's nice.
Like
too.
the architecture, like it's well planned. Like it just looks good.
I've never been there.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Don't know much about Michigan.
Ann Arbor's nice. That's a solid one.
Have you been to the Midwest at all?
Very little.
Buttons?
I've been to like Illinois. I had family in Springfield. I've been to St. Louis.
Oh, yeah.
So that's my biggest experience with the Midwest.
Okay, well, they're both like that's the Southern Midwest. It's a lot. You saw some. Springfield is something cool about it if you like architecture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It has a real cool old-fashioned vibe about it.
Yeah, I definitely liked all the architecture, and St. Louis as well too. A lot of old
There's
brick
a
buildings.
lot of good architecture.
So
I
you're
was
talking
like,
about
very
about
cool.
Springfield, Illinois.
Yeah,
What about
Right.
Springfield, Missouri?
never been.
People been there.
Ooh. I remember looking at a Motel 8 review in Springfield, Missouri, because I was on a long road trip.
Yeah, you were thinking about getting a spa. You're like, little rest your head.
Yeah, and the review said, "Do not come here. There is a meth lab in this Motel 8, an active meth lab."
Oh wow.
That's
So
funny.
that's all I know.
So did you go or did? I'd be like, all right, well, meth lab, okay, whatever.
and that's when
how far away is it from my room? If it explodes, do I have time to get my things and get out? Yeah, sure, whatever.
That's when my meth addiction started. So you can trace it
Right back.
right from that Yelp review.
That's not exactly that. No, that's not what happened.
I know.
You're a good boy.
I am a good boy.
The town I live in, Broad, had a building downtown catch fire, and the gossip was that it was a meth lab.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They're highly, flammable, combustible.
Yeah. I mean,
Terrifying.
I guess I'm not too surprised that meth labs are being blown up in Broadhead.
No, drugs are very popular here, just like everywhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, everybody loves drugs everywhere you go. But I do think that your climate affects what drug of choice
That's true.
Yeah,
than
that's good.
people end up doing, you know.
Yeah.
So by that logic, wouldn't heroin be the top drug in Wisconsin?
That's what I would assume.
Or like fentanyl or whatever?
Yeah, opioids in
Yeah,
general.
opioids.
I think it's opioids. I know there's. I enjoy just going out in the car and getting a coffee and reading in the car, under a light if it's night. And a couple summers ago, the police had me get out of the car and have my hands up.
Wow.
They thought I was selling drugs out of my car.
And what? How did that end? How did that whole story end?
Nothing. I just showed him my ID, and that's what he said.
Wow.
You're like, well, there's no drugs here, so.
Right? Yeah, it did. Yeah, it didn't end. It didn't end. But having to put my hands up, that was really something.
Do you think they were happy that you didn't have drugs, or were they happy that you? Like, do you think they would have preferred if you had drugs?
Well, it'd been more exciting for them, I think, you know.
It's hard to say. I don't know. Broadhead's not that bad. It's a town of 3,000. So luckily, I didn't have a Barney Fife by doing it.
When was the last time you ran through a corn maze in Iowa?
With music, you on my way to the Field of Dreams, you mean?
Sure.
Yeah. I drove by that place in October.
Yeah, the Field of Dreams.
Yeah, it's a big tourist trap.
How much money do people pay?
They charge like $15 for you to walk around the Field of Dreams.
Okay. That seems maybe just slightly overpriced. But, you know, it's not like they're charging $35, right?
That extra $5's the one that's upsetting, right?
It's like $4 too much.
Maybe they have special days where they get a guy dress you up like Shoeless Joe and you toss a few balls with him. That's $35.
Is that Kevin Costner's character?
No, that's one of the ghosts from the past that show up because he
okay.
built it and they came.
Ah.
Yeah.
Shoeless
Ghosts.
Joe.
I like ghosts
Yeah.
better.
Me too.
Thax, what's your favorite album of last year, would you say?
Oh, wow. Well, it's not like I listen to a lot, but probably that Major Minor record that really did it for me.
Okay, I'm gonna add that in my Spotta.
There's a station in Madison called WORT that, you know, it's community run and they play a lot of indie stuff. And they played the whole record. And I was driving around and I was mesmerized, so.
I think I found them.
Major, minor?
Yeah, there's a bunch of Major Minors on Spotify, so I don't...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I hope they're called Major Minor.
I don't know.
You know what I do know?
What do you know?
I love the crackling fireplace in the
I
background.
love it. I feel like this is a game changer button.
I find it very soothing, personally. I don't know if other people find it soothing to listen to us talk with the fire, but I like it.
I like it too.
I like it.
I like it.
I like it a lot.
I think they're called something else. This is going to drive me nuts now.
Major, minor.
What are some artists that you've done the most amount of poetry for?
I was looking at. Oh well, whatever. Who cares? I don't even remember their name. Great. Oh wait, here we go. But oh god, the the record is 16 for Caliphone.
Oh, okay. I can look that up.
And there are a bunch. Brian Jonestown Massacre is like 13. The Meat Puppets has 12.
12 is in like you rank them number 12 of the year?
No, that's like I've done 12 poems for him.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No.
I was looking up the record. You've done 12 poems for Meat Puppets.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Those are always some of the best shows ever.
That's amazing. I mean, that second record is so timeless.
Mm-hmm.
That album could come out in any year. From the year it came out, which I believe was like 1982, to today, 40 years later, and it would work in any year along the way. I mean, that's and it somehow incorporates genres I wouldn't even normally like. Like it incorporates like rockabilly, kind of country western vibe. Like I don't go for those vibes, but Meat Puppets do it in a way that I really like.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard you say that you like any of those vibes.
Yeah, for like Meat Puppets is like the best it gets for me in that direction.
In that genre.
Yeah, because they kind of combine those styles with like kind of shoegaze and also folk and
yeah. I mean,
grunge.
I
Like
think
it's just weird.
They have good range. I think they have good range.
They just have a really cool, unique sound. At least they did in the 80s, and then the 90s. I guess they kind of followed the more of the alternative rock trend that was going.
Well, even that's good.
It's still great.
Even their commercial hit, the
Backwater or whatever. Uh
oh.
We've lost Dax.
No.
One moment, please.
No.
Your call is very important to us.
Please stay on the line, and we'll connect you with the next available agent
Okay.
shortly.
Thax is back.
Oh, here we are.
Remember that song we did?
Of course I remember. How could I forget? It's
very important to us.
It's one of my most polarizing singles because some people love it.
And
then,
other people are like, eh.
right, and then other people are like, eh.
That's funny.
I remember having to try to convince Chase and Joel to play that song because they were raised Jesus-y or whatever. So they thought by playing the song that somehow it would be
disrespectful to God?
Or like to their parents.
Oh wow, really?
Kind of.
Their parents would be like, why would you make this music about Jesus?
Something like, I don't know.
Jesus is very disappointed in you, my son.
We're going to have Chase on the show, so we'll talk about
We'll
it.
ask them. You know what? I don't have to worry about that, first off, because my parents aren't here anymore. But secondly, also, I've already done it. I've already done all the things that would make me a disappointment, and I'm still alive. So why the fuck would I start caring now? I've never played by the rules.
Exactly.
I'm already the family disappointment. I might as well lean into it and have a good fucking time.
Thax, what says you?
But Buttons, did you feel liberated at all? Like I know your father died also recently.
Yeah.
It was definitely feel the liberation for me.
Yeah, I think there's actually something freeing about it. There's no expectations, and I think that there's this kind of this beautiful thing about death where it's like you can love somebody from afar, right? You get to pick and choose what you remember about that person and what you want to hold on to, and then you can get rid of the rest.
That's a very good way of putting it.
And I think it's also easier you could do that with people that are still alive, right? Some people I can love them better from afar because when I'm really up close to them, they annoy the shit out of me. Right. And they're difficult or they're disagreeable or we just, we clash. There's too much friction. But from afar, from a distance, if you're no longer on this physical realm, then there's no friction. and I can just appreciate you for the whole flawed.
Like a photograph. Or
Yeah, you can just appreciate the human for who they are. That's nice.
Right. Exactly.
And you have freedom from judgment.
I'm gonna go to the restroom, y'all.
Yeah. It's a good time. I think that it's an unpopular way to think of it. I guess people, I think, really love to be very superstitious and sentimental about death, right? There's all these protocols and, you're not supposed to speak ill of the dead. It's like people that die almost take on like a saintliness, right? Where it's this other thing. And I think that it's kind of like very silly. I'm like, well, no, I think that you die how you live. And if, you weren't that nice of a person or you didn't make a lot of connections, it's hard for people to fake that part. And I don't think that we should all be judged like that either too. Like it's, we're just little ants running around. We get to do our thing while we're here and then we're done. But yeah, very interesting to me. I feel like this whole, and I think it's mostly because people are terrified of death. So we hold this weird reverence around it, but it's just kind of an energy shift and transfer. It's the great, right? Like it's the common denominator. We all will face it at some point.
Yeah.
It's universal.
Yeah. My father wasn't happy when he was dying, and I had a weird dream where I got the impression he was still floundering.
This is your dad?
Months after he died, and I did. Oh, God bless you. You know, Shmoozum, your fellow drummer just died. Jeremiah Green died from Mouse.
Modest Mouse.
Oh, wow.
He died on New Year's Eve.
Oh, wow. I didn't hear that.
I did a memorial poem for him because I had a dream this afternoon with him in it. It was a post-death dream with Jeremiah. And it was a weird thing. We were like in a bar that was almost dark. Like there was a blackout in this bar, and someone turned on a flashlight, and he was introducing me to somebody or something like that.
Right.
It was so weird to get that. I mean, I was friendly with him, but it's not like we were good friends or anything. Mm-hmm. But it's funny. I had this dream with him in it. So.
Wow. Have you ever had dreams about situations that ended up happening?
There's one weird time, and that happened in the Europe trip too. I went to a bar in Copenhagen and read for a band, and the third floor was like this lounge. And when I went up there, I realized I dreamt about that lounge a couple of years earlier.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that feeling has happened to me before. I remember driving in Salt Lake City and feeling like I've dreamt about this before, or like parts of Denver. I don't know why. It feels very random, but I've definitely been to certain places where
kind
I'm
of
like,
a deja vu.
Yeah, I get a deja vu vibe.
I think. Yeah, I think all of that stuff is real. We don't, exactly why it happens, but things like ghosts and stuff like that are real.
Yeah.
They might be real, they're not real in the way movies say they're real, but they're definitely real.
Yeah, maybe not as tangible as everybody makes them. Also, for the record, I've told this to God, to universe, to ghosts, whoever. I personally, I believe in ghosts. I don't want to see them though. If you are a ghost, do not show yourself to me. I do not want to solve your murder mystery. I don't want to help put your soul at rest. I'm sorry, sweetie. Whatever happened to you was real fucked up. So fucked up that you have to stay here. But I have my own problems and my own trauma, and I just do not have the time. Like I don't want to do that. I don't play Ouija board. I don't do seance. I'm not trying to call that energy into my life.
I played Ouija board once in Mississippi. Yeah? It was extremely intense.
In Mississippi, was it at the site of a lynching or something like that?
It was in a back house where, like, I guess the white people would live in the front, and then like their black worker or maid would live in the back. Mm-hmm. And so we talked to the black woman who used to live there.
See, once again, I'm like, leave that damn woman alone. She already worked so long.
You talked to her on the Ouija board?
Yeah. She wouldn't tell us her name, but her husband's name was Leroy. And she told us that she liked jazz music. And I think she was from like the 40s, 50s. And she liked drinking wine. I remember those details.
I'm like, you're so lucky. So lucky. I would not. I don't want to Also, I'm like, I'd leave that poor woman alone.
I also got a beach that night, just as a side note.
Oh, yeah?
It was like ghost time, then beach.
Wow. So everything just worked out for you.
I mean, those ghosts were doing something right.
They got people in the mood to give people BJs.
It was also just, I got a beach because I couldn't sleep. And I couldn't sleep because the place was dirty. Mm-hmm. It was absolute squalor.
Yeah.
But also, I just talked to a fucking ghost who's there right now.
Was this a tour?
Yeah, it was one of the Shmoo tours.
So you didn't, it wasn't the ghost that blew you, right?
No, but it was it was in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, which I believe is a stop that we've done with you, maybe.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, we didn't do Hattiesburg with you?
You've seen the movie Ghost, right? Maybe, so maybe the ghost actually
the ghost possessed her.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't believe that for a second, though. I don't believe that sweet old woman would possess anybody else to suck a little dick. She's tired. She's leaving people alone.
Wasn't available, so.
She was really chill. Like, she had a good vibe. I didn't feel threatened.
How did you talk so much with her with a Ouija board? Did she spell every word out?
Yeah, that's intense. That's a lot.
It was fucking facts. It was honestly very intense because it was me, Joel, and then this guy Michael Slack, who's in a band called Dome Dwellers from Denton. He was filling in for Chase, and we were Ouijaing, and I think I think it was just us three. And
where's the girl that gave you the beads then?
I think she participated in some of it, but some of it she didn't. So it didn't, like, you can't. Mm-hmm. I could rule her out. She's not like making it up. None of us were making it up. It was energetic. It was crazy. The thing was moving itself.
See, and this is wild.
It was fucking wild.
Okay, you know what would happen if I was in that scenario, right? The first time the Ouija board actually fucking moves, first off, if I am ever there and somebody pulls a Ouija board out, the first words out of my mouth are, put that shit away. But let's say we're there.
Should we do a Ouija board live stream at some point?
Absolutely the fuck not.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know you're kidding because there's absolutely no fucking way that we have
aren't you, when you fuck with that shit, aren't you opening up a portal to, like,
you were opening
the
yourself,
other side?
Yes, you're opening up a side and you don't know what's on the other side. I am not trying to do that. Absolutely not. And especially if I was there and the Ouija board did something and it moved energetically, blow out the candles, fold up the board. So sorry to bother you. We're leaving now. Everybody get in the car. We're going. I'm not even staying the night there. Right. It's over for me. I can't.
Thax, what do you think?
I just think, those things are very ephemeral. Like, you may not have actually talked to an actual ghost, but you've talked to some. You've just talked to. Yeah, you just talk to a memory, basically.
Yeah, you could talk to. I don't know.
But how do
I don't like the idea that woman was hanging out at this cabin since the 40s.
I know.
With someone to talk to. That's too sad.
Exactly. That's fucking depressing.
But what? Okay. Let's go with your memory theory. How do we have a collective memory of, like, Leroy and, like? I don't know. Like, I'm telling you, it really felt like the thing was moving and we were going on a ride.
Well, I mean, it could be real, but it doesn't mean.
That doesn't mean that the character was real. That means you just talked to some spirit energy.
It's almost like the equivalent of like you stumbled on a weird record and you played the record, sort of thing. You know, so
Picking up on a wavelength.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like
frequency.
that. Yeah.
Okay. I can get down with that.
We won't do that in this household. I'm glad that you got that shit out of your system.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
I won't allow that.
I'm going to creep Buttons out here with my story.
Oh, please do.
Because I didn't get along with my mom, but I came up here on the day she died, and I slept in her bed. And in the middle of the night, I was woken up because a deep, dank chill had settled on the bed.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't like the room was cool. It was like a palpable chill had settled on the bed.
Right.
And it woke me up. But it was ephemeral because I got up and went to the bathroom and looked in the mirror, and then it was gone.
Right.
But I put two and two together. It's like I knew my mother was in a funeral home not too far from me, in a drawer, and I could see my mother, who I never liked, kind of coming and saying, "We'll see how you like it."
Yeah.
Wow.
That's kind of what I thought.
Yeah. I can feel that. That makes sense.
It would be like a nasty thing for her to do that.
Right?
See?
Just like a little torture, a little bit.
You see, this is what's going to happen to you when you're dead.
Right.
See how you like it.
See, I'm like, both of my parents are very loving towards me. They just maybe didn't do, the best jobs here and there. Some better than others. Some people get higher ratings than others. My mom. But I'm like, I don't think I have to worry about them coming and visiting me. When I was younger, I was like, oh, it'd be really cool if my mom came to visit me as a ghost. And now I'm like, you know what? I love you. And once again, don't need to come by and visit. I'm fine. I'm managing fine. I don't want to see ghosts. I don't even want my parents to be here. I want them to move on spiritually, right? I want their energy to move. I would be disappointed. I'll be like, damn, you're still fucking here? You didn't cross over? Shit. And
I mean, your dad has some shit to work out on.
Yeah, but you
in the
can't,
next lifetime, right?
Exactly,
He's not done.
Yeah, he's not done, but at least you got to cross over and start the journey again, right?
I mean, that's just your mom, but
yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting.
I'm just hoping that maybe I can get pretty close to not coming back. Like, I'm like, yay!
Yeah.
I get to enjoy the amorphous blob of energy. That'd be sick. Yay!
It's just yay on infinity. That's what an amorphous blob of energy feels like.
Yeah, you're just like, sick. I reached enlightenment.
I think so, or at least somewhere new. I'd like to think that.
What if it's just Dayton, Ohio? What if it's just Dayton?
You come back.
Ohio?
You come back, and you're in Dayton, Ohio.
That's what it is.
You know what? If I can live a simple life and I'm happy, and I have no thoughts, then maybe I am enlightened.
Sorry, Thax, what were you saying?
I'll tell you the other weird thing that happened to me.
Yeah,
that's
please
connected with that. When I was 8 or 9 years old, I was playing baseball out in the street, and it's suddenly the weirdest thing happened in my brain. Something in my brain woke up and it said, "Oh my."
Uh-oh.
Oh no! Right at the good part of the story. Oh, it froze out.
One moment, please.
Please hold. A member of our team will be with you shortly.
Okay.
It paused.
You're back.
What was I saying?
You were right about to tell us this.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
All right. So
You're back now, which is good.
Where was I at?
You were at Buttons.
No, I can't. I lost
okay.
it.
I was playing baseball in front of my house when I was 8 or 9 years old.
There we go. Yeah.
And suddenly a voice in my head kind of said, "Oh my God, I'm a boy again." Like and I had this weird little vision of seeing my previous body in a dark room that had just died.
Interesting.
Wow.
Just for a second, it was like weird thing. There was like another thing inside my brain that was like the real me that said, "Oh my God, I'm a boy again." Like,
Wow. That's very wild. When I was
Yeah.
7, I had a conversation with myself in the mirror where I like stared at myself for so long that I disconnected from who I was. And I was really trying to like analyze. I'm like, okay, so I'm looking at this reflection, but I'm like, who is the person inside the suit?
oh
Who's-
right,
Right.
yeah,
Who's
yeah.
running this machine? Because that's a different entity than what I'm just looking at on my outside. And so I had this whole really deep existential like conversation with myself where I was really trying to figure out like who is the me that is thinking and who is the me that I am seeing. And are these people really
right.
like are they connected? Or I felt very much so like, you know, Men in Black where there's like the tiny alien that's up in the
Yeah,
brain
yeah.
cavity driving the human suit. I was like, yeah, I want to know what that looks like though. And I'm being very serious about being like, I think that there's something else going on in there. I can't. This fleshy shell outer stuff seems really,
yeah.
really temporary and unimportant. I feel like I've been here before.
You
I
were
don't-
7?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I didn't
bye.
really get it.
Well, speaking of rock stars, the one really in-depth conversation I had with Jeff Tweedy, he told me he had out-of-body experiences as a kid all the time.
Do you know I had my first out of body experience after the first Zort show in
You did?
yeah, not too far away from you, Thax, in Wisconsin,
Wow.
in Union Grove, Wisconsin. Yeah, I was on Zach's couch in the basement and I had an out of body experience.
Wow.
That's when I was 22. Was my first.
You looked down and saw your body?
I started to float. I started to levitate, and it was
Wow.
really scary.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Since then I've had about 8 to 10 out of body experiences. Total.
Wow.
I very rarely have out of body experiences, and I like it that way. Once again, I'm not trying to see ghosts. I'm not trying to levitate outside of my fucking body.
It is scary, but if you can do, I thought you wanted to reach enlightenment and be done with this shit.
Yeah, but that's different. Being like of this world and then experiencing that, I'm like, I want to experience that when I transition, bud. I'm here in the flesh now. I enjoy
Yeah.
the flesh. I'm not looking for, like a.
You like the fleshly delights?
I love the fleshly delights. I'm not a monk, you know. I don't have that kind of dedication. I'm on like the chill spiritual path, right? I'm like, I'll get there when I get there, but I'm on the way. I've already sent the text. I'm on the way.
Right.
How far am I getting? I don't know. That's not for me to say.
Thax, have you ever considered doing a Thax Fest?
I guess I'm too lazy. I used to do stuff like that in the 90s.
Where you book it?
Yeah.
That's at your house in Broadhead?
I did. Oh wow! If I wasn't so lazy, I'd consider doing shows here. Like there's a unused ballroom in town. I thought, wow, it'd be fun to do shows there.
You could do it. You could totally
Just
do it.
too lazy. I had a fake label in the 90s in Chicago
Uh-huh.
called Lottery Records. I pretended that I had won the lottery and started a label. And I did a big thing on Labor Day. And then I did a bunch of shows like that.
That's fun.
It was fun.
Whatever happened to the Thaxumentary?
It's on Vimeo.
It's still up?
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find it. Weren't you not entirely happy with the end result?
Oh, I think it's fine.
Okay.
But, I had to drag I was happy with it because it's not an infomercial documentary. I can't stand infomercial documentaries. The Elephant Six ones looks like an infomercial that's coming up, and it's like, hey, this is why you should be into this guy.
Right.
Look. Yeah, you have to know who I am and want to know about me to be interested in it. I kind of like it that way.
That it's more obscure.
Well, it just, you know what I mean. It's not. It's about me as a person, not me as a product.
Right. Right.
And I don't know. If there's ever another documentary about me, it'll probably be an infomercial one, though.
That's what sells in Hollywood, baby.
Exactly. It's sort of like, because if that ever happened again, I'd probably, well, I wouldn't mind being a little less obscure, to be honest. So,
What do you think the right level of fame is? Like, what's the sweet spot?
maybe in a certain way, I'm happy with the way things are now.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a weird. It's really murky, and it's sort of like if you're into music, you probably have a weird murky idea like someone like me is out there
Right.
without exactly knowing anything about me or my name or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like that idea, like being a very murky, iconic figure.
Where it's like you
But-
have a vague memory of that happening, but you're like, what was that guy's name? Like that kind of thing?
It's sort of like that, like a lot of people like.
People remember the experience, but they may forget the name. Because that,
Yeah,
in a way, that murkiness actually, I feel like there's more longevity in that
Yeah, I
character,
agree.
right?
It's the opposite of like being like a buzz band that people forget after 6 months. It's
Right.
sort of like slowly and hopefully the murkiness builds into something solid. I just wish, like no one. I wish I was enough of a celebrity that people would ask me to do things because I'm me, and no one ever does that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it would be fun. Like someone said, "Hey, I want you to be in my movie," or I want you to write this,
Yeah.
or God forbid, do anything where I get paid for doing it,
Right.
or to say, I'll publish anything you write. Write a novel, I'll publish it, or any. I mean, I'm kind of like a tolerated celebrity. Like people seem glad to see me when I do it, but
You almost got a publishing situation going with what was that guy's name? Richard. You remember the Super Secret Records and
oh yeah, that was well, I really thought I hit it with Tim Kinsella and Featherproof Books, because that was a real publishing firm. But then that didn't happen, and then Richard didn't happen. I'm supposed to meet someone in Madison next week to talk about it. And
Really?
I'm not expecting anything. Yeah.
the Richard thing though was a bizarre tale. He kind of imploded. He was just spending too much money and like just spending money left and right, which is cool to spend money on the arts.
I wasn't surprised because I could just sort of tell, like you don't. That's even if
Richard
you
Lynn,
have,
that's his name.
like like the Drag City people, they're rich, but they didn't buy vans for their bands or anything like that. They still had a business model, So this guy didn't have a business model. He was just throwing money at people. So
Exactly.
I wasn't surprised when he ran out.
He ran out of money and he was unable to pay his workers at the venue that he owned.
That's shitty.
So
Yeah, that was the thing, and he lied about it, right?
well, so the apex of the drama is when he was on vacation in Mexico or Argentina or something, and he's at a steakhouse and he's like, look at this beautiful piece of meat. Look at my beautiful dinner, right? He's taking photos of like his like 5-star dinner, and people are like, dude, you're posting photos of your fancy steak and you're not paying your workers. They're like, they're on strike, right? They're like, pay us.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Yeah, you're out of touch. That's.
So what was his excuse for that?
You don't have an excuse for doing things like that.
I don't think he had. No, he kind of did have an. I would have to go through his Facebook to find his excuse, because he had to make a public statement at some point.
At some point, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
But I don't know if you know this, Thax, but shit got so ugly over that situation that someone posted his face, like printed his face off of the, like off the internet or whatever, and called him a like, look out for this like predator molester.
Oh.
Which is like, wow, that's taking it to a whole nother level. I mean, maybe he is one and I just don't know.
Yeah,
but
I'm like, what if that's just another fucking thing that's being...
There was no evidence to suggest that was the case. I think people just hated his guts so much. And you know how class war goes.
Yeah.
Right? It's just classic class war stuff. And someone thought he deserved to be accused of being a fucking child molester and put his face on flyers and put it all around fucking, North Austin and shit. It's crazy.
Very spicy.
Well, there's so many people like that. Now, much as I hate the Drag City people as people, you've got to admit they know how almost no one voluntarily leaves that label. Like
that's interesting.
Will Oldham and stuff. I'm sure Will Oldham could get a deal with any label, but he sticks to Drag City because they must treat him well. I think same thing with the Empty Bottle. I hate them, but they treat bands really well.
Right.
They never try to cheat bands out of their money. Because Bruce is a good businessman.
Huh.
So that's the thing, that's what you really want more than anything else if someone's going to put your stuff out.
Right. Trying to think of situations where I felt like the venue really fucked me out of money. There's one show I'll never forget. It was the first time we did the West Coast, Zach and I. Excuse me. And we were driving from Eugene, Oregon to Portland, which I believe is like 10-hour drive, isn't it?
No.
Or is it, am I thinking, no, maybe I'm thinking San Francisco to Portland. Maybe that's something
more realistic.
That might be what it was.
Yeah.
But anyway, long ass drive. We were fucking so tired. I remember I was driving up a hill and literally keeping my eyeballs open like this because I was so tired. Wow. I was like, Carla, can you drive? And she's like, no, I gotta sleep. Zach wouldn't drive. He has to sleep. It was just my turn to drive, but I wanted to sleep too. And anyway, so we get to the venue. The venue's called Holocene, which is like very nice, fancy venue.
Pretty big one, right on like Southeast Morrison.
And it was a really good show in the sense that like it was well booked. Zorch, Vampire, and White Hinterland, which are both like notable bands from Portland. Like it's not like that's a bad show.
No, yeah, that would have a good turnout.
Good turnout. Probably 150 people came out. We got paid like $35 because the overhead was so high. Right? They had to hire the sound person and open another room and the lights, and it's like, dude, we're the touring band. We just drove 1,000,000 hours to get here.
Well,
such a Portland fucking move. I fucking hate Portland.
What is that? Why, like?
It's not a pay-to-play town, is it?
No.
But it's so immoral knowing that like that we are a touring band. Like, I understand that you have costs, but like the show drew people. It's not like people didn't come. And like,
the Portland bands did get paid too. Like,
of course they did. They're both headliners.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Mm-hmm. They didn't give a fuck about you.
Right.
Yeah, well, their attitude was probably you're lucky to get the exposure or
Yes.
something like that.
That's their vibe.
That's definitely the attitude.
Portland is very like up its own ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never I enjoyed it when I was there for a few days, but I couldn't imagine living there.
Everybody's so pretentious. And
What-
for what?
What about Seattle? That's more of a for what situation. Seattle, I find, first of all,
It's more international though.
yeah, you're right about that. It's more international. However, the uniform is all black all the time. I'm not against that aesthetic. I like it. But, like, switch it up a little bit. What? Everyone has to wear all black? Wait, what? It's very conformist, I find. I find Seattle very conformist. In its lefty kind of circle jerky.
Everybody's decided on the aesthetics that they think are good.
Yeah.
So even if you're being counterculture, you're still adhering to a certain aesthetic.
Yes. Yeah.
I think.
I-
Yeah, I know.
What do you think, Thax?
Yeah.
It just my 2 days in Seattle, I had a very odd experience.
What happened?
My thing, well, I saw Bruce Lee's grave, but that's beside the point. But it's just whenever I stopped, like to get a coffee or something, the way people treated me was strange.
Yes.
They acted like in Chicago they would act. When I was at my most well known in Chicago, people would sometimes obviously know who I was and sort of give me a look. They wouldn't say they knew I. It was a weird vibe where they knew who I was, but they wouldn't say who I was.
Mm-hmm.
But they were kind of knowing and snarky at the same time.
Very
You know what
Seattle.
I'm talking about? Everyone
Very
did that.
yes.
And it was so weird. They were acting like they knew me and they were being really smug
This is
about it.
sorry
Why
to
are you
shit on
doing
Seattle, but this is very Seattle. There's just no. We're just telling the truth. We're just exposing the truth about Seattle.
I think in general the Pacific Northwest has a big stank attitude. That's why I moved from there, and I don't really like. I only care to go back to see people that I know and love. But as a vibe, as a whole city, no. Portland and Seattle can both fucking suck my nuts.
Wow. Yeah. Should you buzz them out?
Portland, Seattle, you're fucking canceled.
Wow, that's a big
So,
deal.
Yeah.
Shots fired, in
Yeah.
my opinion, a little bit.
I got all the smoke for Portland and Seattle.
Well,
But I
both the
like
docs
Seattle
were-
better.
Thax, what are your
Do that.
favorite American cities?
Ooh, wow. Let me think.
I guess let me just add to that to do shows, to perform,
Shows, eh?
to go see shows. Yeah.
As a performer, I might mention New York City was the easiest place for me to perform
That's so
Because-
interesting.
because most places I have to to get in the show. There's a rigmarole you have to go through.
Right.
In New York City, every time I just said I'm performing, and they said okay, let me in.
Wow.
I really enjoyed that.
You were mad with a medium amount of power.
It was just nice that I think because New York, I'd like to think New York's the sort of place where there's enough celebrity culture there that people could be a special guest anywhere,
Right.
and they just assume if you're saying you're performing or whatever, they'll let you in.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that too.
All right. So we got New York. What else is in the top 5? Thax's
Like-
top 5.
Oh, the top 5. I don't know.
Top three. Top three.
Other than that, let me think. There's cities I'd like to see again, but I don't know about performing there. Like New Orleans.
Right.
The 3 times I've been there, I've really liked it. Paris, I'd like to see again.
Right.
I don't know.
You were with us in New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
What was the show? Was
That
that
was the last time I was there. I missed your show. It was an outdoor show.
Oh my god!
But,
I remember I had to diarrhea immediately when I got there
Good.
because we had Creole food, delicious Creole food at the Temps, the Good Times Cafe in Lafayette, Louisiana. And by the time we rolled up to NOLA, there was a porta potty, and I was like, everyone out of my way, and I fucking
You had to make Duke's.
had to do it, and that was a really good party. There was like 400 people there in a backyard party. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it was intense.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed it.
But
Sounds like a fun time.
I remember it being a good time.
Yeah, sounds like it. I think if I ever went back to Paris, it would have to be in some form where I was performing there, because I think, and this is just maybe my personal experience, every time I've been to Paris, I feel like everybody's kind of just an asshole. And I think if I was in a band or doing something cool, I would have a way better experience, right?
Right.
Because Parisians are fucking rude. There's like, I got turned down for a club. I was like, damn.
Whoa, yeah. Yeah, I heard
It's
about
rough.
that, like in Berlin too. Oh, there's this place where you wait in line for 6 hours and then they decide if you come in or not. It's like, well, what's exciting about that?
Yeah, I don't want to do that at all. I'm like, that sounds fucking terrible. Absolutely the fuck not. Count me out. I don't do
Paying
lines.
to get in, and yeah, it's like.
No,
I
I'm like,
don't
do you want my business or not? I'm gonna leave. I don't care. Nothing is ever that cool enough for me to like sit there and wait for like 6 hours. It just makes me feel like a cuck. And I'm like, nah, I'd rather not. I'm just getting cucked.
Parisians being rude didn't bother me because I consider them to be superior, so they deserve to be. I don't mind them being rude. They deserve it.
Okay, do you have a bottom 3 least favorite cities to perform in?
Hellholes. Never want to go back.
Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Portland.
Portland.
Oregon. I just fucking hate Portland.
Champaign, Illinois.
What is it?
Champaign, Illinois.
Champaign, Illinois. Okay.
I don't know. I had a bad experience there.
Mm.
Let me think. It just like it's the equivalent of just being able to breeze into venues in New York. Like some small town venues, it's almost like if you say you're performing, they I don't know what you think. You think we small town people are stupid,
Right.
Well, we'll show you, and then they'll be really mad and about you, rude to you, and because you're trying to pull something over on them when they're saying you're performing. It's kind of the opposite,
Yeah.
Well, actually, LA's like that too. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, LA is very, very hoity-toity and showcasey.
The most annoying thing happened at Largo. Have you ever been to Largo?
Yeah, I've been to Largo. I don't like their seats.
It's like this guy John Bryan does a show there like once or something. And
Right.
He said to me, if I ever go to LA, I should just show up to Largo, and I could read a poem. And when I did, they didn't just say no. They did this elaborate thing where he pretended to go talk to John and obviously didn't, and then came back and then gave me a really big lecture about how I couldn't just show up and then say I'm gonna read.
Oh my god.
He's a little gnome type guy.
A little bit much.
John Bryan by the Buttons produced a Fiona Apple album called Extraordinary Machine.
Got it.
And then he's done a lot of work with Kanye, and he's just like a famous producer, orchestrator, arranger, etc.
Got it. Aye, Captain.
Do you wanna move on to some YouTube stuff, Buttons?
I love that.
Okay, there you go.
So,
yeah.
Oh, what were you gonna say, Thax?
I was just gonna say.
Oh no, frozen.
Call waiting.
The call is frozen.
Hey.
Oh.
You're back.
All right.
We're back.
Thank you. Thank you for taking my call.
Of course.
I'm a regular listener, and I just John did this thing where he'd play one instrument and then record it and then do another one and make his own band.
Uh-huh.
You do that sometimes with Shmoo, right?
Are you saying, like, do I overdub instruments?
Like live overdubbing where you do something and then you sing over yourself and
Of
play
course.
over yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I've done that for almost every record. More recently, my stuff is more programmed.
Oh, okay.
More I'm going in a more electronic direction. I mean, the new record that I finished, that's going to come out in 2023. There's only one song.
Delicious.
One song with like 2 guitar parts, and then that's it. There's no drum set, and I only sing twice on the whole thing.
It's
Wow.
delicious. It's
So maybe-
delicious.
Maybe you can become part of that lucrative jam band circuit.
Well, what we're trying to do here is have a jam band circuit at our house in the studio, because we have, you know, a bunch of microphones set up. We've had 5-person jam sessions, which we multi-track record and live stream without any issues too. Like it's
Beautiful.
smooth sailing.
It's a very cool thing.
But it took a couple years to build up to that. A lot of research, and took a lot of grit. You got to have a lot of grit to put up with this shit.
It's true.
But I'm passionate.
About it. And we won't quit.
Why did you call it the Shmoogus board?
Well, that channel's called Shmoo TV 420, or just Shmoo
Okay.
TV.
Oh, okay, nice.
But
Smoothsburg is great. Also, as a secondary name.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a good nickname.
Yeah. Love it.
Well, Thax, thank you so much for joining us. We're gonna enter the second half of our show.
Dimension.
Yeah, and feel free to to type or hang out or whatever. But
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing all your great stories.
Bye, Shmoogla. So you guys you're gonna look at YouTube videos now or something?
yeah, exactly. We're gonna do some YouTube stuff and chit chat.
Okay. Well, I'll listen in for a while. So I'll. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. This was really fun.
It's fun.
All right, see ya, Thax.
See ya.
Yeah.
Vended.
Vended. Cool. That was really fun.
That was fun. And can I fucking say how much
You love
I love the crackling fireplace. Yeah, crackling fireplace.
Crackling fireplace.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the new vibe. I think
It just stopped.
because I paused it.
Oh, okay.
I think we gotta just go anus in, all in with ASMR. Hopefully we'll get a bunch of views, but we did peak at an all-time high on Twitch. 6 concurrent viewers.
Wow, that is big time for
That's
us.
big.
And people commented.
Some comments.
Yeah, we didn't really interact with them enough. I feel like what I should be I feel like I need to maybe have that laptop close to me, so if somebody wants to interact, I could interact. But I feel like it's a lot for you to produce, introduce, transduce, seduce, translucent. I mean, I also have 2. I would do it on my other devices, but I'm also streaming on Super Live and Live Me. So,
Are you getting any clamshells?
I got clamshells. I've got followers. I don't know how well it's doing or how, but I see people. There's people, and I think maybe they're enjoying the show. If you want to watch the full version of the show, you can head on over to twitch.tv/the high Epoch Times. Yeah, it's available.
That's what it's called.
That's exactly what it's called.
Okay, Courtney Ryan.
Who?
What video do you want to start with?
Who is that?
She is
Not in the manosphere. Is she in the womanosphere?
She's in the she's black pill. I don't know if she's black pill, but yes, she's in the maybe in the womosphere.
What is this called? Because it feels we haven't watched it yet, right? But actually, you know what? Let's take a little sample, and then maybe I'll have a better description, right, of what
Hi everyone,
she
welcome
is.
back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today we're going to be going over the reasons why women really think you're unattractive. Straight to the point here, these are the real reasons why women might consider you to be unattractive. Of course, we all know that genetics play a role in attractiveness, but there is far more to consider that you have the complete power to control, and that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video.
Okay.
And please keep in mind that you are not for everyone, and that is okay. We are all unique. We are all different. Not everyone needs to be cookie cutter versions of each other. There's going to be someone out there that will find you attractive. It's okay. The first reason is that you're acting
very black pill.
desperate, or needy, or clingy, or all of the above. This scares a lot of women off, as it probably should. And the point of the video here paints you in a very unattractive light to women. You're approaching dating with a scarcity mindset, and this automatically just sets you up for failure and disaster.
Yeah.
And it's normal to be into someone and to want to talk to them and get to know them and spend time with them, but slow and steady wins the race. There's no need to rush. There's no need to blow up her phone or freak out if she doesn't text you back right away. And I'm also going to say this, I understand why a lot of you are in this kind of desperate mindset. To want to be loved is to be human. We have a biological desire to connect with people, to love, and to be loved. So it's very normal to want this, but to chase is one thing and to pursue is another. I don't want you guys to fall into the trap of chasing a woman and putting her up on a pedestal and putting yourself beneath her. To constantly be looking for this external validation from a woman paints you, again, as I mentioned, in a very unattractive light, and women do not like this. And being the guy who is desperate or clingy or needy is a one-way ticket to the friend zone. Or the attention fill-in guy that she only texts when she's bored or wants something from you. Do not let women walk all over you. If you have this mindset, that's what you're setting yourself up for.
I mean, I think everything she said so far
there are
has been kind of like kind and very true.
Yeah. I'm with it.
None of it seems toxic yet.
many men who fall under
It might not ever be.
It might not ever be.
We're going to see.
this category. I know because I have a lot of you write into me that this is something that you struggle with because you're approaching dating with this scarcity mindset and you feel like you have to get this girl to like you because it's your only option. And I understand why a lot of you feel that way. Dating is tough. A lot of you are not getting matches on dating apps. A lot of you are not getting dates. A lot of you are really having trouble. So then it will be normal why you might feel a little bit desperate when it comes to dating and kind of taking what you can get. But I do think that's a really unhealthy way to approach dating.
Agreed.
And it's something that you need to work on within yourself a lot of the time to build your confidence to be what you want to attract, right? Number 2 is you have no ambition. Women want to be with men who have goals. It's no secret here, a lot of women are attracted to men who have money or who have clout or are successful.
I would just like to preface this as saying this is not do or die, but based on where I'm at, if he makes between anywhere from 70 to 100K.
I feel like this is gonna sound bad. I feel like 300,000. Like, I guess if they made less than that, I feel like we wouldn't have the lifestyle I wanted, so I would work.
I would have to say 127. $500,000.
That's a fucking really specific number, 127.
Yeah.
Why not 126?
Yeah. Or 129. Or 130.
Or 120?
127. Why?
Is that bad? Probably 150 to $250,000 a year.
But even if you don't necessarily have the money yet and you have the ambition and the goals for yourself and you're a hard worker and you're determined, a lot of women are into that too. Do some of them wait at the finish line for the winners? Yes, they do. But others just simply like the fact that you have passion, drive, and ambition. This is attractive to women for the obvious reasons of wanting to be with a provider or wanting to be with someone who's financially stable and all of that good stuff. Hypergamy is real. I've mentioned this in many videos before, but also because when you have a purpose, when you have ambition and drive and goals for yourself and you're actively working towards these, it makes you more confident in yourself. And the more confident you feel in yourself, the more sure you are of yourself, then this...
All right, we got it.
Mm-hmm.
Uncontroversial. Let's go to another video.
Pick something that looks spicy. I want a chili
Welcome
pepper.
back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today we're playing a little game with a group of girls called Would You Rather. So what I do, I give them guy number 1 and guy number 2, and each guy comes with some baggage or some things going on, and they have to choose which guy that they would rather date. So no more to say. Let's get into it and see which guy the girls pick. Guy number 1 who makes $200K, but he struggles with infidelity and will have 1 to 2 affairs during your life together. Or guy number 2 who makes $40K and is loyal.
First
How do
you gotta
guy
choose.
Me?
Yeah, the button.
Neither, bitch.
You have to choose one. That's the whole game.
Well, then one.
Number 2. Guy number 1. That sounds so bad.
The 40 can is loyal, obviously. Well, for me, obviously.
Ooh, that's an easy one. I guess I'll say the guy number 2 because I couldn't deal with infidelity no matter how much money you make.
Loyal.
I would choose $40,000 and loyal.
Okay.
Yes.
Loyalty important to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Definitely the guy who makes 40K and is loyal. Loyalty is super important, and 40K is not that bad. So
Next one here is guy number 1 who is 50 pounds overweight and makes 120K. Or guy number 2 who is fit, nice arms, 6-pack, great endurance, and makes 35K.
One.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Okay, so here's the
Jesus
thing.
Christ.
Pause it right now. I'm going to make the same choice every time. The looks, like whatever. Sure, having somebody hot is whatever. It's about security. That's why you're marrying people. Also, the idea of getting a man that's loyal to you and doesn't cheat on you, to me, is like also very like, I'm like, okay, sweetheart, that's what you tell yourself. I just think that it's kind of inherent that if you're going to marry a man, he's going to fuck around at some point. What matters is who the fuck does he come home to? Who's the house? Who runs the house?
Sure.
Right? And so therefore I'm willing to compromise on these other things. So I'm like always going to take the best decision for me and my offspring. I very much so believe in hypergamy. And so it's the question of like, do you go for this thing or that thing? I'm just like, I think these are too rigid in like terms of like money and ideals, right?
Uh-huh.
Where I'm like, I also don't think that like what kind of infidelity? Is he fucking his secretary and they have a whole affair? That's different than like he goes on a bachelor party and fucks somebody, right?
I think the way it was phrased was 2 affairs, like 2 boinks.
It was like up to 2 times, right?
Yeah.
But depending on what see, this is the thing to me. If you're just gonna fuck somebody, that's okay. Are you watching a TV show with them and building rapport and like learning about each other? Then to me, it's more about your personality, right? If it's just sex and you don't have an emotional attachment to the person, I feel very differently about it versus somebody that you're building an emotional attachment with, right? Uh-huh. It's a different vibe to me. So I'm like, yeah, I think 1 to 2 times throughout the whole marriage.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, whatever.
Right.
Cool. Does that mean I get to fuck around every once in a while? Shit, tight.
Guy number 1.
I'll take the first guy.
Yeah, 35K, that's like McDonald's. So I'll go with number 1.
Is it McDonald's?
No, maybe a little bit higher than McDonald's,
Yeah.
but pretty much,
Fit one.
Okay.
I make enough money to support us both.
Okay.
I'll say guy number 1. We can go to the gym together and work it out.
Exactly.
What if he didn't want to lose any weight? Would you still choose that one?
Sure.
I guess so, yeah.
Okay.
That's like hard because like I don't really value money or like, well, I guess I value health. So like, I mean, if he's overweight, he could always change him. So I guess I would say the fit guy.
Okay.
Because I care about health, like physical health, because I think it.
It's just like your well-being.
Yeah, I guess that one.
I think being.
Yeah.
Her personality, her vibe in general. But it's also because we have completely differing views on what we think's important.
Well, and also she's like, I don't care about money. I don't care about looks. I don't care about status. I don't care about clout.
And I'm just like, shut the fuck up. I'm like, that's stupid. We all care about those things.
Fit is
not cool.
important. So I want a guy who takes care of his health. 50 pounds overweight is really not that bad, especially if like I have a more active lifestyle, so I wouldn't mind helping him be more active. 50 pounds not that bad, so probably the 50 pounds overweight
50
guy.
pounds. What if he didn't change though? What if he stayed 50 pounds overweight and he couldn't change?
I don't mind a little.
Okay, a little bigger guy.
Yeah.
All right. Guy number 1 who is a 3 and has a boat and a second home that's an oceanfront condo. Or guy number 2 who is an 8 but lives at home with his parents.
Okay, you gotta admit that this is pretty black pill.
Yeah.
A 3 who has a boat. The whole guy is just boiled down to a number.
Yeah.
Everything about him, he's a 3.
He's a 3.
We know he's a 3.
Okay.
You know.
And so once again, I don't want to pick either because they say he has a boat and a second home with an oceanfront condo. A condo? Why not a house? Why not an estate? He's a 3 and he doesn't have an estate? I don't know about that.
Or an 8 who lives at home with his parents.
I don't know about either of them. I don't think either of those men is a suitable suitor.
So 3. The 3. You're going with guy 1.
I
probably the first one.
Don't you dare make me choose that, man.
Because he's doing better in his life.
Okay.
Is the other home really nice? Pause it. Can we at least say that my 3, his other home is really nice?
Yeah.
The oceanfront condo is just there for a little bit, but the other house, the big house that we live in, is very nice.
What if the oceanfront condo is like 5,000 square feet? That's nice. That's big.
Okay, but the big house, the main house, the first house better be really nice.
All right.
Okay.
Appearances. Like, I care about physical health, but like, other than just like being like healthy, I mean, you don't have to be like super like fit or attractive. Just
Jesus Christ. Can you just say that you find people attractive?
I don't know why she's trying to be so like, I don't care about any of those things.
So PCE.
I'm just like,
is that what it is?
I don't know, but that's even what it is.
As long as like you're
it's
taking
like
care of
pixie
yourself.
Dream girl pick me energy. Like, I don't really care. I'll just take whatever. I don't care about those things, but I do want to be hot
because I'm so
and fit.
real and deep.
I'm just like down to earth and so deep. I don't care about those things. Like, because when women voice their opinions, like the one that I just voiced, right? People are like, who are you? Who are you to think that you deserve those things? Right. Why would, like, well, you're not a 10. Why do you think that you would ever, like, you know, people get very defensive, right? When I'm just like, no, that's what I want for myself. And if that's what I want, that's what I, like, that's fine. You know, but I think that there's a big push to, like, act like that, right? It's all about being like effortless, right? Not being high maintenance. You're just effortlessly hot and you're super low maintenance. And I'm like, no, fuck that. No, I'm going to be loud and a little bit disagreeable and medium maintenance. I'm medium maintenance. I'm not high maintenance. I'm medium maintenance. But I would like for you to have money because I've experienced poverty. I don't need 2 poor people's problems. That's too much. We can't do that in this household. I can't. You know?
I would say that you should just put medium maintenance on your dating profile. Because
I'm medium maintenance.
It's funny, and B, it's true.
I think that I am. I'm medium maintenance. There's certain requirements, but I'm not high maintenance. I'm not like, wake up and take me shopping.
Right.
I'm not like, oh, I want to go to the Maldives.
Right.
You know, like I'm very like grateful and thankful for anything that is nice, but I also have standards, right? But I'm very medium maintenance. I think that everything that I asked for is very reasonable.
Do you remember that one time when you came in and you went right to the fridge and you're like going through the eating snacks? You're like, I don't like these snacks. Like, you're just like not happy with what was going on in the fridge.
Do
you remember that?
No.
It was very funny and cute.
I'm like, well, I guess it seems like there should have been better snacks in the fridge. I see nothing wrong with this story.
No, it was, like I said.
Yeah, that's medium maintenance.
Yeah, it was funny.
It's medium maintenance. I'm like, I think that there should be better things for me to snack on right now. I don't like this. But it wasn't like, oh my God, you have to take me out to dinner right now.
Right.
He's obviously taking care of himself in other areas of his life, so.
Oh, that's a good one. Probably the 8 who lives at home with his parents, especially in times like these. If he's saving his money, I don't see why. I mean, obviously it would be better if a guy had his own place.
Where are you gonna fuck?
A boat would be nice too, though.
Where are you gonna
but
fuck?
I'd go with the guy.
You could just do a Colty and Debbie situation. Where Colty fucks whichever woman in his room awkwardly next door to his mom, who hears everything.
No. Do you know that I don't like to fuck in my apartment? That is where I lay my head.
Why? Because everyone can hear it?
No.
Why?
Because it's my house.
Oh.
The fuck? I want some man stinking up my cute-ass apartment.
Yeah.
Sweating all over my sheets.
That makes sense.
Rummaging through my fridge, eating my snacks. I would absolutely die.
That's like your sacred...
That's my space for me.
It's your crab shack.
That's my crab shack. It's not even big enough for two humans to be in there comfortably. So get the fuck out. No, I don't bring men over, or women. Maybe sometimes women. But I don't bring men over to my apartment ever.
Yeah.
That's my space. I don't like also... Especially until I'm like dating somebody like for a while. I don't want a motherfucker to know where I live. Men are weird.
Right.
Men are real weird. I don't want you to know where I fucking live. No.
Because they'll stalk you?
Yeah. Or worse. You never know. Men are weird. Also, men that you like turn down or things don't work out well with, especially when you first start dating somebody.
Yeah.
Those are the scary ones, right? I've definitely met men where I maybe didn't read the signs. Like, you know, like, like a couple days ago, we were discussing people that we were talking with. Yeah. And you're like, that's weird. I would have stopped talking to this person 3 or 4 messages ago.
Right.
I, in the past, would go on a date with that person.
Right.
Right?
Me too. By the way.
Yeah, but I think there was
Years
just
ago.
a different time, especially if they were really hot. I'd be like, their personality is a little bit weird or they're a little bit unhinged, but like, this will be okay. And those kind of people are really dangerous. And so I've learned to vet my dates better. And one of the ways that I keep myself safe is that I don't invite people back over to my apartment.
Right.
That's my own space.
Right.
Every once in a while though. But like no, I don't like that. That's my space. Also, it's a good way to see, because men will also lie. Here's the other thing about men. Men will lie. You say, do you have your own place? And they say, yeah, I have my own place. And by that, they mean their own room in their parents' house, or like the apartment that they split with their baby mama.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think it's also
or they live in the basement of the house that baby mama owns.
Yeah, there's always something like that. So I think it's also a really good way to see if men are full of shit, or if they are really single, if they aren't, if they do really have their own space. If I can't go over to your house and fuck, we're not fucking. You don't have it together. I'm sorry. Those are the like, like it's like an amusement park, right? You must be this tall to ride this ride.
Uh-huh.
It's one of those things where it's like you have to have a place where we can go fuck. I also want to see how you live. Do you have a mattress on the floor with no sheets? We're not fucking.
Right.
We have to have a bed frame and some sheets. I would prefer for them to be clean and fresh, but
I see particular body type on the internet or in the media, and I know that like, I want that, so I work for that.
Like when you see on social media and stuff, it's just kind of like very glamorized.
Growing up, I thought like, okay, if I want to be attractive, I have to have like 6 packs.
So I feel like I would be ranked last just because I don't really fit that type of standard.
I mean, you just get a bunch of like random dudes in a room and be like, just go out in your underwear. You expect it to be really weird and awkward.
So all these men are being ranked.
Yeah.
Wow, this is not healthy for men.
This for body attractiveness.
I don't think this is like if there was the same equivalent. Well, I guess society does this with women all the time. But if there was a specific segment where they were doing this with women, we would all lose our fucking minds.
Right.
You can't do that. Even though men do still do, like that still happens, just in other ways. I don't like this. What? We're gonna rank all these men by their attractiveness?
Apparently.
And then other men are watching this being like, damn, that's what women actually think?
I guess.
This is kind of weird. This is like, it is weird black pill where I'm like, I guess I agree with some of it, but I don't know if it's helpful to have people focus on these things.
Well, they also have episodes where like a woman will do a blind date with a bunch of men, and like she ends up choosing the guy she gave a 4 out of 10 on looks but personality, she connected with him the most.
Okay.
So, you know, they do all sorts of social experiments that are controversial.
It's very spicy and controversial. I don't know how I feel about it.
Should we watch it?
Yeah, I'm just letting you know that I think it might be morally not
corrupt.
Yeah, okay. Let's dig in.
Let's see how much people hate us right now.
Ariel, why don't you switch with Omari? Avi, switch with Eric. Avi, switch with Omari. Albert, switch with Omari. And Albert, switch with Avi. And this is how the world has voted most attractive body type.
I totally understand the audience ranking, because if you're looking at just physicality, not even knowing our personalities or who we are, of course we're gonna have, you know, sexy six-pack over here and, you know, me over here. Why not? I think Latinos are hella sexy, so I don't get why we're over here. Come on, guys, but I respect this. I like it. How do y'all feel?
I'm comfortable, but I don't know. At the end of the day, it's hard for me to really judge on it. I guess the audience has voted. I was expected to be probably more down the line, maybe like 3 or 4. Growing up, I was always like, you know, told like, hey man, you look like a twig or you're very skinny.
I feel like it's pretty okay to feel comfortable when you're the 2 slot, though. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh no, this is fine. I'm the second hottest in the room. I guess I'm okay with it.
I think it makes sense for the way that, like, I think people generally view the world just based on like what you see in the media, social media, whatever. Do I think that it makes sense for anyone as an individual? Not necessarily.
Yeah, I'm not shocked, because I mean, when I was younger growing up, that's exactly the body type that I wanted to look like. My whole life I like compare myself to that, so I think it's expected. So I'm not like surprised, but I did have a little bit more hope.
Yeah, that seems really
You guys can kind of discuss how you want to do this ranking, and then it's all up to you guys. And as you're talking, feel free to move each other around as well.
Wow. Now they're going to rank themselves? Fuck. I don't know if I could do that to us.
Yeah. That kind of makes me feel like crying.
Yeah, I don't know.
Doesn't it feel really dark?
Whose boyfriend is
I say him. Yeah. Because it seems like he'll like plant something secretive for you.
Definitely. That TLC love.
If you had to rank yourself against others based on a specific trait, what would it say about how you see them and how they see you? We brought together 5 couples and had the boyfriends rank themselves based on how attractive they think they are. Then we invited their girlfriends to rearrange them. This is ranking.
My name is Calvin. I'm 23 and I grow cannabis.
My name is Ryan. I'm 25. I work for a tech company.
My name is Dominic. I'm 21. I'm a full-time student and I'm working in tech consulting.
Hi, my name is Mark Vega. I turned 28 today. I'm a YouTuber, a real estate agent, and a actor.
My name is Mika. I'm 21. I'm in the process of getting my license to drive the commercial trucks, the big rigs.
Who do you guys think they will find the most attractive in the group?
Dom.
I would say this.
This guy.
He's like 6 foot.
I thought Dom was, just based off like a first impression, I thought he would.
Why?
Is he the tallest?
Yeah.
Is he good looking in the face? I don't remember him being good looking in the face.
I think so. He's a Chad.
Okay.
They've been like ranked the highest.
Because he had the looks, he had the height, he had the eye color,
I was gonna say Mika. Just like the style, the hair. Seems like really chill. Can I say myself? I'd say myself. I like it. There you go. I was gonna say you look like Andrew Garfield, kind of. Oh, I get that one. Actually, yeah.
I just realized you look like Edward Collins.
Oh, I'm gone now.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Alex Wasabi.
Oh my god. Yeah, we're gonna get this every day.
By the way, I like the beard. I like the beard. It works well on you.
I like the hair too. Dude, I can't grow a beard. Did you get a fresh cut just recently too?
Yeah, 2 days ago.
What wouldn't you say?
I would never say that I'm the hottest in a room full of women, because I'm too gay. I'd just be like, all you girls are so pretty. Except for like 1 or 2 girls, I'd be like, well, I'm better looking than you, bitch. But that's because I don't want to fuck. It's bias.
I had to look good for the cameras.
Yeah.
I like your hair. I love your hair. You get like a fade right here, like 0, but I just put my hair down.
I'm jealous. I love his hair.
Yeah, I do too.
You guys?
I don't know. I'm very firm on number 2 with you.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2 for you. 2. You can be there too.
So should I move?
Yep.
No. Okay.
That guy's short as hell.
I think you should be here. You look like Alex from
Yeah. Number 3 is then.
That's fair.
reason.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah.
I think I might be in the wrong spot.
Why?
I think I gotta scoot that way a little bit.
Oh,
This guy.
it's a toss-up
It's a
for me.
toss-up.
Yeah.
Because you look like Andrew Garfield kind of. And he
Yeah.
looks like the dude from Twilight.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
It's like what actor?
Oh, now I see.
Yeah.
I think this is bad boy versus good boy,
Yeah.
right? I go with the John Mayer guy.
Yeah. I don't like either of them.
I like more of
Yeah.
I would say it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
I could agree with you on that.
So my ranking would honestly be, I think you, Mika, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, 1,
As you should, bro.
2.
Yeah.
Probably put you at 3, 4, 5.
And then what would you say?
I would say
The
1.
guy on the end, like a tall
2.
Asian guy?
I think that he's cute.
He's cute. That guy's definitely 3, bro.
I'd rather go for him than the guy with the early 90s haircut.
Out of everybody, he's the one I want to bang most.
That's
the
that's
tall
your type.
Asian guy?
That's your type though, right? One of your favorite types.
Well, no.
Korean guy?
Well, it's not one of my. That's weird. It's not one of my favorite types, but I do.
What do you mean that's weird?
Okay, maybe it's not.
You've dated 2 Peters who are Korean, no?
Yes.
3.
And
4 and 5.
what?
Wattens.
Wattens. Okay,
I'm
I think Korean dudes are hot.
cool with being anywhere between like 3 to 5.
I got 2 and 3 the most, so I got 3 more. You got 4.
Real quick, what if we just did a ranking based off of only personality?
Can we go with the girlfriends now?
Yeah.
I want to know what the girlfriends think.
Yeah. Okay. I think it makes.
Do you think you should be number 4? Honestly, my personality sometimes lacks, so yes. It sometimes lacks? Okay, I feel it.
Yeah.
This is your
Oh, they're ranking themselves on personality.
Oh.
Are you guys happy with this?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring in the girls.
For me, it's more than physicality, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
Attractiveness. So, like, personally, I wouldn't be attracted to him off the bat, but he talks really well. Like, the way he talked about you and the way he presents himself was really sweet. So, I would rank him up top for sure. Maybe like 1 or 2.
Okay, so number 1, of course. Number 2, because of his hair, and we're the same color, so automatic. I honestly put him as number 1 for the most part.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
Same.
You know, birthday.
Okay. I got you. And it, obviously, my man would be Frank. That's number 1. Good. But
we have to
number 2, I say him.
Yeah.
Because the way he comes out, he seems so friendly too. He seems like the type of guy that would be just a nice boy.
Underrated gem, I feel like, of the group. Right?
Yeah, he's definitely the guy I would go for.
Into her. He seems like he'll like plan something secretive for you, like nice date out.
Definitely. That TLC love.
I'm gonna go with my boyfriend first. Pretty biased. Whatever. I think he has to give himself some more credit, so I'll give him second.
Yeah.
He has a personality. He has a good personality.
For sure.
But I also like Calvin.
Yeah.
The way he said, I learned my confidence from you.
Yeah.
That was really sweet.
Yeah, Ryan, number 1 for me personally. Number 2, plaid shirt. I just like the style. It's something that I think I would honestly wear. And also funny, such a bright personality. Like you're just naturally attracted to like his essence, which is really cool.
Okay.
This part's fun, right?
No hard feelings. I think everybody's beautiful and gorgeous. Number 1, specifically because the vibe, the jewelry, the head bop when he was listening to music. Number 2, because of the way he presented himself and talked about his significant other was just so cute. Number 3, funny, outgoing, happy. Number 4, kind of quiet, but fun. And then number 5, no hard feelings, like no one's a 5 in my eyes. but that wasn't just my personal taste.
Number one, I mean, what a stud, right? Number two, just really love the hair, the style, and super funny. Number three, the style, very cool looking, for kind of energetic, like he's got some vibe that.
Should I go to the end?
Yeah.
To my TED Talk.
Wow. The guy who's cocky is voted last.
Yeah, because nobody likes a cocky man.
That one was switch spots with Mark. And lastly, Micah switched spots with Mark. Mika.
Wow.
And that is your average score from the girls.
Oh shit.
I thought it was you.
How about this, Courtney Ryan? What's your overall takeaway from her channel?
This is Jubilee.
Oh, so it's a different person's channel.
Yeah. We've been watching, the last two videos have been Jubilee. The ranking stuff has been Jubilee.
Oh, well, that was way more entertaining than her stuff. Her stuff was realistic, though. But, so Jubilee is the hurtful ranking thing.
Correct.
All right, well then, I guess I take it back about her being toxic then. She didn't do anything toxic in my eyes.
Bell is back. Again. Well, for the third time actually. But maybe this time it sticks around. The league initially launched as a spring football league back
We're learning about
the XFL?
the XFL.
Oh my God,
in 2001 and then again in 2020 that ended up being a shortened attempt because of COVID. Now it's owned by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and his ex-wife Dani Garcia. The league kicks off in February and it's really going to start to get rolling here soon, constructing rosters. In November, the league will assign all 8 teams 2 quarterbacks, and that will be followed by a draft. That leaves us with what we do know right now. The 8 teams, their names, logos, stadiums, and coaches. The Arlington Renegades. The name is familiar to the XFL. In 2020, we had the Dallas Renegades, and their coach was Bob Stoops, and he'll be the head coach here for the Arlington Renegades too. Stoops is a legendary college football head coach, and is in the College Football Hall of Fame. He coached at Oklahoma for 18 years, and really brought the Sooners back from the dead. He won a national championship in 2000, and won 10 Big 12 titles. Stoops was 191-48 in his time in Norman. The Renegades logo is a light blue R with this slash for the R. They are going to be playing at Choctaw Stadium, which is formerly Globe Life.
What did mentioning that do?
I know exactly what the logo looks like now.
What?
It's a light blue R, bro. It's very important. Now we know. In case we want to start color coordinating with our favorite team, the Arlington Raiders.
Right.
Park, and it was home of the Texas Rangers from 1994 to 2019. Next, the DC Defenders. They were a team in 2020, but do look a little bit different. The logo is now a big D with a C inside of it with a star. Looks like the color is still going to be red, which is perfect for DC. Every team that actually plays in DC has red. The Nationals, Capitals, and Wizards. The Defenders are going to be...
Alright, he's going to go through every fucking team.
Yeah, it's very drawn out.
But the XFL was a thing that existed in the early 2000s. Then it retired.
Yeah.
And then it came back recently.
I want to know what it is. What is it? What is it?
Football is easily the most popular sport in the United States, and the NFL is easily the most popular football league. I
love how everything's over-exaggerated for a fact. I don't know.
Really enjoyable.
It's really cartoony.
Easily the most popular football league. I don't think anyone can argue with either one of those two statements. The biggest and highest rated sporting event every year is the Super Bowl. The NFL has all the best players, announcers, everything associated with the league is top notch. If right now I made an announcement that I wanted to start my own football league to compete against them, you wouldn't take it seriously. you would have the exact same reaction you had when you heard Kanye announce he was running for president. In both cases, your reaction is appropriate. But what if instead of me announcing a competing league, it was the head of NBC Sports and the head of the WWF? Now, all of a sudden, you'd be curious as to what they have to say. That's what happened. Dick Ebersol from NBC Sports and Vince McMahon from the WWF came together to form the XFL as a joint venture between the two companies.
The X is for extreme.
Though the X technically stood for nothing. Yeah, it's weird. So, these seem like two good people from...
Is the XFL dark? Is it more violent and brutal than the... Like, don't we already have issues with brain trauma and how it affects people's behavior after playing contact football for so long? It makes people more abusive. Domestic violence goes up.
Yeah.
If the rates of domestic violence from these brain traumas. It just seems like this is a more extreme version of that, no?
Yeah, I don't think we need it.
Two good companies to come together to form a competing football league, both with extensive sports and television experience.
Gladiator.
That's a good point.
You need to give the peasants blood.
Right.
The peasants need blood. Keep them at bay. They need their blood.
That's so true.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this shit is.
Mm-hmm.
You are absolutely right.
The intention of the XFL was to fill the gap between NFL seasons with some alternative football the fans can watch. The first ever XFL game was played in the beginning of February 2001, just days after the Super Bowl. Though the XFL season didn't occur at the same time as the NFL season, it was still in direct competition. In order to compete with the NFL, they needed to differentiate themselves, offer something to the fans that they couldn't get from the other league. And honestly, I think they did that. One thing they did differently was eliminate the fair catch rule. It's the rule that ensures when the ball is kicked, the receiving team is able to catch it without being tackled by the other team. So basically, in the XFL, the guy catches the ball and then gets tackled right away. The NFL starts each game with a flip of a coin to determine who gets the ball first. The XFL starts with a player from each team sprinting toward a football and then diving at it to determine first possession. Something they called the scramble. Something Vince McMahon brought over from the pro wrestling world is an emphasis on the players' personalities. The WWF is very much built on a group of characters, and that's what he envisioned for the new league. He did this through a few different methods. Instead of the player's last name on the back of their jersey, it displayed a nickname of their choosing. All the players would wear microphones throughout the game, and there would be cameramen actually on the field to better catch the players' reactions. And speaking of cameras, they used a camera above the field to catch better angles that would make the fans feel more connected to the game. The way the players were compensated was also unheard of. They were paid based on how well the teams performed. Quarterbacks made $5,000 per game, the other players made $4,500, except for the kickers, who were $1,000 less. There was a $2,500 bonus per player if they won the game, $7,500 if it was a playoff game, and the big thing was that the championship team at the end of the season received $1 million that they had to split. In my opinion, the XFL completely succeeded in finding creative ways to differentiate themselves from the NFL. It was marketed as being a hardcore, extreme version of the NFL. Vince McMahon said the NFL stood for the No Fun League, whereas the XFL stood for the Extra Fun League. The commercials for it had explosions and wrecking balls. The entire message of their campaign was that the NFL is lame and the XFL is intense. That first game in February of 2001 was a massive ratings success. 54 million viewers. To put that into perspective, the Super Bowl that occurred days before drew around 84 million viewers. So, for the brand new competing league to draw viewers anywhere near that of the Super Bowl, it was a massive success. But here's the bad news for the XFL. The ratings dropped significantly for the second week, and just kept dropping further each week, until eventually the ratings were so low they were actually setting records. They ended their season in April with their big $1 million game.
Who will win this year's $1 million game?
And this was the final XFL game ever played. The terrible ratings motivated NBC to pull their involvement. Vince McMahon originally planned to keep it going on other networks, but they had demands involving the WWF that he just wasn't willing to comply with. So after just a few months, it was over. And it was a big financial failure. I think the failure of the XFL could be summarized into two main reasons. Here's Bob Costas to tell you reason number one.
It's not WWF enough for that crowd, and it's not good enough football for the sports-minded crowd.
Thank you, Bob. It's really important to know your audience, and who exactly is the audience for this? I have to think their intention was to draw in NFL fans as well as WWF fans, but what they actually did was only draw in people who were fans of both of the leagues, which is a narrow fan base. In my opinion, they should have dropped all the WWF stuff since it was detracting all the football fans. I'm not exaggerating when I say this league had the smell of WWF all over it. Their opening game began with The Rock hyping it up. It was followed by Vince McMahon giving it a wrestling-style announcement. This is the XFL! Which was then followed by over 2 hours of famous wrestler Jesse Ventura.
Oh my god. Jesse Ventura was one of the correspondents on this?
Wow.
What do they call it? The sportscasters?
Spectator, castator. I don't know.
Which was then followed by over 2 hours of famous wrestler Jesse Ventura announcing the game. For someone who's not a WWF fan, that's a lot of WWF to take in during your football game.
2 hours of Jesse Ventura before the game? Is that what I'm to understand?
No, like throughout the game.
Throughout the game.
He's the one commentating.
Right.
Game. The second
I would love to listen to him commentate.
Reason for the failure, I think, is even stronger than the first. The league was too much flash and too little substance. They successfully attracted a bunch of viewers with their flashiness, but once everyone tuned in and saw there wasn't much substance, they left. In that first game, the players were no good. The audience was watching some bad football being played, which is understandable because, for one, these weren't NFL caliber players. Almost all of them were players that couldn't make it in the other league. I mean, they were decent players, college players that were rejected, former NFL players, great football players in fact, just nowhere near NFL caliber. But the other reason they played so poorly is because the entire league was put together in such a rush. The players had very little practice together and simply weren't ready to play at this level. When you take a bunch of players that are already not the best and rush them out into the game, it's not a good combination. You can tell from day one that the core focus of this league was to entertain, and it sacrificed substance every step of the way. The scramble at the beginning of the game, entertaining for the moment, but it led to a lot of player injuries, which ultimately sacrifices substance. Same thing with the elimination of the fair catch. It's just asking for more injuries, which leads to worse games overall when the players are hurt and not playing. The announcer, Jesse Ventura. He's not even close to the best person you could have announcing.
Okay.
Oh, you need to shut your fucking mouth because I think Jesse Ventura is the best person.
He's the best person. The very best person. This video came out 4 years ago. So that's why they're only explaining the past version of the XFL.
Even though
it's back.
The second one's also failing though. Isn't
Football
it?
games, but he may appear more entertaining on the surface, so they went with him. Even just looking at the team names, the Orlando Rage, the Memphis Maniacs, the Las Vegas Outlaws, the New York/New Jersey Hitmen. Really? The Hitmen? They weren't going for quality names. They were funny, they were shocking, but they really weren't good. The bottom line is that they cared more about putting on a show than providing some good football, and the fans saw right through that. There were significant differences from the NFL, but those differences weren't necessarily improvements. But I do give them credit for trying. Even if they had done everything perfectly, I'm still not so sure it would have succeeded. It's hard to compete with the NFL. I want to note that there is an entire 30 for 30 documentary about the XFL. If you want to go deep.
Wait, so XFL has been back?
Yeah, but I haven't heard about it, so I don't think it's doing
lined
well.
up at the opposite 30. Can't move to the ball. He's fielded, and here goes Keith Mumphrey. And they're going to turn it around with room on the near side. And for the first time, they get creative. And the Battlehawks have the sideline, and a kickoff return for Joe Powell to the end zone.
So somebody got better.
And now they say he stepped out. No, touchdown.
Looks fun to me.
Looks all right. I'm not into football.
No, I'm not into football either. But hey, I'm trying to expand my horizons here.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome.
Thank you so much for sharing this with me.
Oh, all these topics are too serious for me right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want anything too heavy, too serious.
Uh-uh.
I want light. I want funny. I want gay.
Worker dies after being ingested into an engine at airport in Alabama.
Yeah, no.
Is that funny?
That's not funny.
Oh, okay.
It's got to be one of the worst ways to go.
I
don't think there's a great way to die, right? They all suck, but I think being liquefied in a human blender, basically,
right,
is pretty fucked up.
All right,
but also probably very quick.
I mean, yeah, you probably lose consciousness pretty quickly now.
You just go, and you're, I'm sure it's very scary for 2 seconds, and then you're not there.
Okay, let's do one more video, and I'll give you the choice.
Okay.
Works so fast, vibrational match with your goals and desires, Dr. Joe Dispenza, or Battlefield of the Mind, Dr. Robbie Malone.
Fuck, man. Battlefield of the Mind.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll save.
Is it 10 billion or 13 billion in the United States alone that was employed in this, what else can you call it, PSYOPs campaign to coerce, compel, and mandate that we accept an unlicensed product that turns out to not be safe nor effective?
Today I sit down with mRNA vaccine pioneer Dr. Robert Malone, author of the new book, Lies My Government Told Me, and the Better Future Coming.
Elon now is in a position where he has access to incredibly damaging information about the willingness of the U.S. government to collude with industry and compromise the First Amendment.
We dive into information warfare, psychological operations, and how we can make sense of the bewildering series of events we've witnessed in the last 3 years.
Your mind and your thoughts, your very emotions, are the battleground. It is not about territory. It's about what you believe.
This is American Thought Leaders, and I'm Yanya Kellick. Dr. Robert Malone, such a pleasure to have you back on American Thought Leaders.
Jan, it's been my enduring pleasure to have these chats with you from time to time. It always forces me to think more about things before I walk into your studio.
Well, let's talk about something that seems to be on everybody's mind right now, which is Twitter, of course. And
Twitter, of course.
You've said that Twitter isn't a business, it's a weapon. So what does that mean?
This is an essay we put out a couple of months ago before Elon transformed the company in the way that he has. Twitter is...
What?
Transformed. That's
a very
interesting word choice there.
That's a very interesting way to put it. I don't think I would use that myself, but sure, transformed. That works.
One embodiment, as we all know now.
Keep the Malone a-rockin'.
Of multiple social media platforms in which ostensibly what you interact with you believe to be free and as has been pointed out repeatedly, if you don't know who's paying for it, you're the product, and the information that you provide is the value that's being extracted.
That's true. I agree with that. Uncontroversial to me.
All of these social media platforms are actively employed by intelligence community to shape opinion, to truly shape thought, to shape emotion. And Twitter, it's clear now, has become the premium platform for shaping emerging global consensus about the topics of the day. And in the case of Twitter, what triggered me to write this article was an analysis that had been done. The authors speculated that Twitter was deployed during Arab Spring. As I was reading that section, it triggered me because I knew that Twitter had been deployed during Arab Spring as a weapon. And it's often the case in our kind of military industrial intelligence complex world here in the United States that we have a history of piloting weapons platforms during peripheral skirmishes that are occurring in our kind of imperial world that we operate here out of Washington, D.C. In the case of Arab Spring, you'll recall that we had a lot of young crowds moving and acting in ways that were very disruptive. We'll just say disruptive. Then we're not placing value on, this person versus that person. They were just disruptive. I knew that Twitter was deployed then because I had a client at the time that was deeply, deeply involved in both non-classified and classified research into being able to map the emotional content of language being used by individuals on social media platforms. It's a multilingual program that analyzes emotional content of language.
I actually think this is an interesting topic, and so far everything he said is correct. He hasn't gone in a partisan bent yet, right?
Yeah.
So far everything he's saying is like, yeah, I agree.
It's a form of language processing based on well-established psychological parameters, so it's all statistically grounded. And I was also working for a company, TASC, it's a Beltway bandit here, and in a senior position having to do with business development. And they had their own platforms that also were being developed for defense and intelligence communities to perform similar functions. So what I'm referring to here is that with modern social media platforms, one is able to obviously extensively map relationship clouds and also to map the consensus within a relationship cloud about a given topic, where that consensus is moving, who's driving it, who's at the fringes of that cloud that are the influencers that are dragging it in this direction or that direction. These social media platforms, the technology that we're all familiar with as individuals, and we use this language like, I've been shadow banned, okay? I've been deplatformed. I can't get the reach that I thought I could get. Or, oh, suddenly that tweet went really viral and a whole bunch of people saw it. And, oh, that's so great. They all agree with me. That is grossly naive to think that way. The way that these tools, these weapons, information warfare weapons work, is that those controlling them can modulate the messaging that's occurring within these influencer clouds that can be readily mapped. And in fact, all the members of that influencer cloud can be physically mapped in space, particularly if they're using a cellular device in an urban center, because you have multiple cell towers that can triangulate them. And that then maps into what's called Gorgon Stare, which is this incredible high-resolution imaging capability that we now have in spy satellites. So your current state of mind, based on the language that you're using and the topics that you're talking about, can be mapped very precisely, psychologically. It can be tied into a web of influence relationships. It can be identified in geospatial environments. It can be tied to physical images so that that can be tied to what is the vehicle you're driving, who do you get into that vehicle with, who are you traveling with, who are you associating with. All these things can now be totally integrated and mapped. And by using these tools of manipulating what information, what tweets you put out, what messages you put out to your influencer cloud, they can modulate how those people behave. You can actually very actively control what individuals are thinking, the information that they're gathering, what they're being influenced to do. So a crowd that is in a plaza protesting against some action that's happened during Arab Spring can be modulated to go this direction physically or that direction or intellectually or psychologically very readily using these tools.
Without, and I'll just jump in, without realizing that there's any manipulation actually happening.
Precisely. And that is the essence of this kind of information warfare, psychological operations.
Is Robert Malone sucking us in?
See, the thing is this topic is and should be nonpartisan. This is something that we should all be
aware. I think
aware
this is,
and afraid of.
I think this is. I think what he's
scared by.
talking about is very real.
It is real. I'm just waiting for him to turn it into a conspiracy against conservative thought or anti-vax thinking.
Yeah,
that's where I'm waiting.
That's where he's gonna lose me.
That's what I'm expecting him to do. So far we're on the same track.
Yeah, and I think that's how he lures you in, right? Because there is the part of truth that is in there.
Yeah, well, this is all truth so far.
So far, all of this is true.
One phrase that's coming to fore more and more is fifth generation warfare, or fifth generation warfare gradient is a better way to think about it. This new...
I love this articles that they keep flashing to and then highlighting.
It makes it feel important. This is a primary fucking document. You better take it seriously.
Very. This is like edited for old people, though.
This guy is legit as fuck, bro.
It's edited for old people to make it seem serious.
Battleground in which your mind and your thoughts, your very emotions, are the battleground. It is not about territory.
See, I think Noam Chomsky would fucking agree with this. That's what he wrote about in the 70s, 80s, 90s.
It's about what you believe. It's what you think. And with these tools, that can be actively crafted, modified, manipulated in a very sophisticated way.
It's a very good example of this, right? Nobody cared about Ukraine until it was on everybody's feed, right? It's they do it with certain terrorist attacks. You know, remember when there was the one in Paris, and everybody changed their Facebook filter to the French flag. It's very much so like there's certain events that happen. Yes, they're fucked up, right? But there's a lot of fucked up things that are happening all the time.
Yep.
And it is very apparent which things are pushed in our media and what things you're supposed to care about. And the way that journalists write about certain things also changes your frame on how you feel about that, like, event, right?
Right.
So it's very obvious that we're very pushed in a certain way to feel a certain way about certain events.
Of course.
And then propagated within the domain of those that you are influencing, which is why there's so much importance in targeting those that are, let's say, hyper-influential within a cloud of connectivity.
So then what is the significance of Elon Musk taking over Twitter, and what has transpired in your mind, given everything you've just told me?
Early on, before the acquisition, when there was still all this discussion.
All right. I think these folks, these like alt-right Epoch Timesy folks, they see Elon Musk as like the Trump of the tech world. They see him as like messy. He's a
but he's
bull in a
brilliant.
china shop. Yeah, he's gonna crack some fucking eggs. He's gonna crack some skulls. But he's also going to expose the fact that Twitter is selling data to private contractors as well as like public defense.
I see what they're doing, but just like Trump, it's misguided. I'm like, you don't realize that these men are like narcissistic egomaniacs. They're about themselves, sweetheart. They were never meant to be your hero.
But I think people who like Elon and Trump, they don't care. They see them as like necessary demons or whatever, like fucking like dark angels is what I'm trying to say. Necessary dark like angels to do angel work, right? Even though they are dark inside, their soul is dark, but they're like
they're doing
God's work.
Still.
Yeah.
About how many of the Twitter users were actually bots or synthetic users, not true individuals. There was much discussion about the business model that was driving the acquisition. And this relates to the envisioned company X, a name that apparently Elon has bought back from PayPal. And for instance, to kind of illustrate an angle in this, you recall that Elon recently discussed in some of his tweets, I don't know how his board is letting him get away with it, by the way, he must have total control, that they're building a new alternative to PayPal.
Did you notice that? He's like, Elon's such a badass. He's got such a big fucking dick.
Yeah, if he could just, I'm like, it's really hard to understand him with Elon's dick in the back of his throat. If he could just take his dick out for a little bit, it'd be really great to get somewhere in the conversation.
Indicated early on was the intended business model was more akin to WeChat, in which Twitter, or whatever Twitter becomes, let's call it X for the sake of argument, becomes kind of one ring to rule them all. The universal application. The universal application through which you'll do your banking, your commercial transactions, buy your groceries, have your social media transactions, everything. Okay? That's the logic that was purported underlying the acquisition. And so
I hate it, but isn't that the way it's going? Imagine if you had an app that, because it's your banking and your groceries and everything and your Facebook and Instagram all in one, your lifestyle is the flex. Right? Instead of like just posting photos of your like vacation or whatever, like it'll show you taking money out of the bank. It'll show you like paying for transactions, right? So it's like, let's say you go to the Chanel store.
Right.
And you do some shopping. On your social media, it pops up and says that you spent like $20K at Chanel today.
Right.
And then in and of itself, that's the flex, right? And it's a oversharing to the extent where it becomes its own status symbols. Because it's nobody could actually, like, you can't actually hide, right? Because it's all there in one spot, so everybody can see all of your debt and all of your money that you own and all of your assets.
Right.
But I think that in a weird way, that could be like, people could like that. That could be a flex.
Right.
And just with every other thing on social media, they present it to us in a way where we opt in, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, damn, it's actually easier to do life with social media. They've made it likable and addicting. And like, if you're going to do anything and really be anybody and build any sort of following, you have to do it.
Well, look at how they've shaped society. We're all interacting with each other online instead of getting together.
Yeah, and not only that, but it's something that we all aspire to. It's its own lucrative position now. Right? Like, I think, you know, people 50 years ago used to come to Hollywood to make it as a big star.
Right.
And now you don't do that. The idea is that you could do that from your living room, wherever you live. if you have the right formula and you post the right amount and you could find your little niche,
Right.
you know, it's a different gold mine, gold rush kind of a vibe.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Everybody's rushing out to the west to go shake some little pebbles in the river.
And the West is just the digital.
The west is the
landscape.
digital landscape. This
From
is the
that-
wild, the internet is the Wild West.
It is. You're right.
That's the last open frontier that we have that's not really colonized.
The importance of understanding the true user base becomes crucial because that is.
I mean, YouTube is somewhat colonized.
There's
See,
aspects of it that are colonized, and the algorithms usually do try to suppress certain people and certain.
They suppress independent voices and
Yeah.
and lift up CNN and Fox News and Tucker
Yeah, so
Carlson.
there is colonization in all of them, but there are still areas of the internet, right? There's always censorship, and they're definitely cracking it down. It is colonizing it, but it is like the West, where there's still parts of it, right? Where it's still kind of it's getting less that way though.
Sure.
We've seen the civilization of the internet, of the taming the internet. The internet was like a very wild, open place when we were children,
Right.
young teens or whatever, and there's a huge boom on there, and now we're kind of hitting, FOSTA, SESTA stuff really did actually change a lot of our online stuff, and a lot of our legislation keeps pushing it that way. Now it's like a liability for anybody, right? So a lot of content gets cracked down.
Right.
Something that is a commodity. Your or my being on Twitter represents a potential node that has commercial transactions that could be monetized. Okay, so what do we have here? I'm not sure, and I think a lot of people are kind of on the fence. Certainly, I think we can all celebrate Elon's willingness to be transparent and demonstrate integrity in disclosing the.
What a wonderful oligarch.
What does this shirt say?
Occupy Mars.
Oh my God. Come on, he's wearing a graphic tee. This is your hero? The man wearing the graphic tee that says Occupy Mars?
Listen, I'm not mad about the Twitter files. I think it's good. But I think, whether or not his intention is for good optics or not, it's still better to hire journalists such as Matt Taibbi to look into this stuff than to not do that, right?
Sure. I just want everybody to pull the Elon dick out of the back of their throat.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't deep throat him.
They're making him a demigod.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's real weird.
Intense, almost
Wearing a graphic shirt.
casual, routine interaction between the intelligence community,
Family Guy.
Yeah.
particularly the FBI and Twitter. That in these recent Twitter files that have come out clearly demonstrates how closely integrated Twitter was as a weapon for forming public opinion and manipulating public opinion and reinforcing the intended public opinion and consensus. But what's behind?
Yeah, but these guys are the truth tellers. The election was stolen and vaccines are dangerous. Like
that's where we're going.
See, that's where it starts to.
Woo woo! All aboard the conspiracy train. Woo woo! The election was stolen. Next stop, Traderville.
Larry Elder running for president after he failed running for governor. Nothing like failing up.
Fail up. That's the way to do it in this country. That's the American way.
It's
Fail
failing
up.
Yeah.
Fail up.
Yeah, because failing up is selling out, but the interests that you're selling out to are the ones who are paying your checkbook.
So yeah, exactly.
That and where is he really going with this? This gentleman that is one of the major defense contractors to the United States, SpaceX, among other platforms, and is advancing this clearly transhumanist technology that we call Neuralink. What is really behind Elon Musk's business decisions? And a lot of people get caught up in the enthusiasm of Elon Musk being a savior of democracy and free speech.
That's what people are getting caught up in? I thought they were getting caught up in disliking how he's handling taking over the company as the CEO. I thought that's what it was.
I thought that's what we were all unanimously upset about. No.
Speech. And that may be one of his motivations. I can't get in his head. I don't know what he's thinking.
Yeah, of course.
But I do know that he is a business person. And I do know that he's been a very successful business person as well as a very successful technologist. And it's hard for me to imagine.
He's still unhinged, though.
A technologist?
Yeah.
That he would have invested, what's the number, 40 billion?
44, I think.
Yeah, 44 billion, and which is a substantial fraction, is clearly not his capital. Okay, so somebody is out there that has decided to deploy a major chunk of change, invest a lot of treasure in acquiring this thing, which, whether intentional or not, puts Elon in a position where he's functionally able to blackmail the United States government. Now, that's a big word. It has a lot of impact. But I'm reminded of J. Edgar Hoover, who used to keep his little black book, where he had dirt on a lot of people here in D.C. And then, of course, we had this honey trap operation that we called Jeffrey Epstein in Maxwell that was clearly an intelligence honey trap operation to compromise people. And Elon...
I think I actually agree with that conspiracy theory.
The Epstein was a honey trap?
Yeah, I think that's legit.
Let's bring a bunch of rich politicians through here. Let's have them do some really fucked up shit.
So we can use it against
and
them.
then we'll have you on a list, and now you have to do what we say because we have you.
Yeah, you're compromised.
We know.
I totally think that's real.
Now...
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Is in the position...
If you do something that evil and dirty anyways, why wouldn't you also want to be scandalous and like use... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get your bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Where he has
Evil bangs.
access to incredibly damaging information about the willingness of the U.S. government to collude with industry and compromise the First Amendment. And remember, this is a court case being brought by the two attorneys general, and they have just been given a...
Because the theory is that Jeffrey Epstein worked for the CIA or an intelligence operation.
Huge gift. It basically makes their case. I found it fascinating that Janet Yellen a few weeks ago was talking about the need to evaluate the potential antitrust implications of Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter. Elon doesn't have any other social media platform, so Janet Yellen basically starts saber rattling. And a week later, Elon Musk starts deploying intelligence about collusion between the U.S. government and Twitter to censor people on a routine basis. I'm just trying to make the point that there are wheels within wheels within wheels here. I can't ferret them out. I don't think you can either. We're left here on the sidelines observing the passion play, observing the kabuki theater, and trying to discern meaning out of these little fragments of information which are being selectively released and deployed.
It's really interesting to see Matt Taibbi's career trajectory, how he went from being like a lefty and then worked for Rolling Stone for a bunch of years and was like a liberal journalist hero. And now he's kind of this, he's like the new hot guy that the conservatives love.
Yeah.
He's the new flavor in town for the conservatives now.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird switch.
It's weird. I'm not saying Matt Taibbi's conservative. I'm saying that
I think that they like him.
They've taken him in, and I think that
it's interesting.
Ever since he quit Rolling Stone and went independent and started a Substack for himself.
Yeah,
I've noticed this.
Lloyd, and we also know now.
How much more does Robert Malone have?
A fucking lot to say.
Yeah, he's got a lot. Like how long?
Another hour.
Oh my god, I couldn't possibly.
Should we end it here?
Oh yes, please.
All right, okay.
Please.
We get the point though, right?
We get the vibe.
I think we get the vibe.
I got the vibe.
I got the vibes.
I don't want the vibes. I want to go inside and eat a fishy dish. That is my button wish.
Button, I feel like shit.
Oh, sweetheart. Yeah, come inside. Get love. Rest.
Yeah.
We'll eat fish dinner.
Can we find the plug for the massage gun?
I would love to find the plug for the massage gun. I would love to find the plug for the massage gun.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
All right. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.